good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another live with Hanifa Nayela. I am super excited. Today is no different. Another great topic for you guys. As usual, I am just going to go over a few things before we delve right into this. And I let the ladies introduce themselves. First of all, if you guys need to want to subscribe to me, well, first of all, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so at this time. Share, make sure you like if you're here as well. Maybe you want to wait until we get into the conversation before you like, whatever suits you, but just hit the like button. That does help. And also, too, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at The Real Hanifa Nayela. And if you guys feel generous and you just want to give a donation, you can see my Cash App kind of scrolling at the bottom. So feel free, no pressure, but feel free if you're feeling a bit generous today. I am hoping, I usually put this up, but something tells me I may not need to, but just in case someone comes in here and they're triggered. Warning, people, this information may be triggering. All right, please view at your discretion. All right, sometimes the truth is triggering. Sometimes just hearing some things that we've been through is triggering. So I like to make sure I put that on there. That way you guys are not going to blame me on my platform for your triggers. Okay, so let's put that out there. And then second of all, third of all, I like to see who's here with us. And I know we have Inya in the house. She says, peace, Hanifa. Inya, I'm gonna have to touch base with you about the homeschooling. Rico is in the house. Thank you for coming through, guys, as usual. Let me see who else we have. Rico just wants you guys to know that he is not the baby daddy. Okay, he just wants y'all to know that. And then we have Tiffany is here. She says, "Hey, hi, hey, room. Peace to you, Tiffany. My big sis is here. She says she's waiting patiently. Hey, Taki. Let me see who else we have in the room just to make sure I acknowledge everyone. Daryl passing through and showing some love. He says, great topic today, Hanifa. Harmony. She says, this is such an extraordinary topic. Thank you, sis. Thank you so much. I do my best. Okay. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hey.
First of all, I know this is the two of you guys' first time on the platform and probably maybe even doing anything like this in this way. And let me shout out. Hey, Genesis. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable. This is a safe space, not YouTube. This space on YouTube, okay? Meaning that you're not going to be attacked here. You're not going to be talked over. You're not going to be disrespected. Your opinion is not going to be laughed at or frowned upon. It's a free and open and safe space. So I hope you ladies get comfortable, and because we're dealing with transparency today, right? So yes. And so I want you guys to, well, before we get started, I want to let everyone know why I wanted to talk about this topic. First of all, shout out to my cousin, Shamara. She had recommended it, and it was on my list already, but it was further out. And so I'm going to let her tell her story as to why she was asking me to do it, because it is her story to tell. But the reason why I'm passionate about this particular topic, and I'm sure Elena knows that, is because I find that, specifically even in this space, but just in general social media, we tend to focus on mistakes that we have made, decisions that we probably didn't make the best decision, whether it is I got pregnant as a teen mom, I got pregnant and it was just a hookup, I got pregnant and I was the side piece at the time, whatever that is, okay? I got a child out of wedlock, I got a child within marriage, whatever that is. But what I'm finding is that we tend to focus a lot of what shoulda, coulda, woulda happen versus what needs to happen going forward. So I feel like there's a gap there that needs to be filled in, because there's a lot of us out here with children who are not with the father of our children. Okay. And a lot of us are also in blended families or building blended families. And I feel like it's important for us to have these type of conversations so that people can know, woman, who find themselves in this position do not have to war with each other, right? They don't have to be petty. They don't have to backbite. They don't have to do those sly attacks. So I wanted to make sure that I displayed that today. And I know you ladies are going to do an awesome job at it. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys first introduce yourself. Shamara, you can start with yourself. Just tell the people who you are and why you are here to kind of engage in this conversation.
Hi everyone, my name is Shamara. I'm cousin to Hanifa, as she mentioned earlier. Um, the reason why I came on here was number one, I've been following Hanifa and her content, and I feel like she has an amazing platform for a story like this. And I myself, I co-parent, and I don't know if she's ready for me to tell my story right now or get into my story, but mine is unique. I just want her to share, because I find that I am not the only woman that struggled or struggles with co-parenting and trying to get along with other moms, right? And so I just wanted to share that and be a part of this platform today.
Thank you, Shamara. You could be anywhere else, but here you are. So thank you. I really appreciate you. Go ahead, introduce yourself, ma'am, at the bottom.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elena Bakasara, and I am Hanifa's co-mommy. I am our son's stepmother, or second mother. I am here today to share my story as well because I think it's important. I think we need to know, as Hanifa said, we need to know how to not war and know what's important and keep our eyes on the prize instead of, focusing on our feelings. And so, yeah, we'll get into that. But thank you for having me.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start it off, right? And so for those of you guys who are just joining us, Elena, the young lady at the bottom, she is the second mother to my first son. So my ex is her current husband. That's good, right, Elena? Okay. And so, and Elena is here. Clearly, you could tell that we get along. But I want to start off by saying, so I'm gonna tell the story from, okay, so our marriage broke. We were no longer married. Okay, I tell people all the time, we had, I think the roughest time of our separation was the first year. After that, it was like we know what we had to do because we had made a commitment to our son, right? And that commitment hadn't changed. And then I want to say after that, maybe fast forward about a year and a half to 2 years, here comes Elena, right? And they were dating. And I remember my son's dad came to get him, and he needed to tell me that he was dating her. So I already know him. I know his character. I know how he is. So I know if he's telling me, he's probably getting a little serious, right, with her. So I was like, well, can I see a picture? She best be cute, So he showed me the picture. I said, okay, she cute, And so he was like, oh, she have a Jamaican background. Just telling me a little bit. And you don't know about this, Elena. This is the first time you're hearing this. But anyway, so we had a conversation about it, and that was it. We moved on, and then time went on. And I want to say the first time I met Elena, it was pleasant, right? But that's also because that's the type of personality I am. Now, I want to be clear on this. It's so important that you and the father of your child have a good relationship before the other person. That matters. It makes a big difference. It really does. And I'm talking about you and the guy who you're co-parenting with. It's important that that be established first before another person is introduced. Because if it's not, that's where a lot of the friction and commotion and, drama comes in, because y'all already ain't on good terms, and now you want to bring this other
Love
person,
anybody else.
you want me to be on good terms with them. So, from my experience, I would say we had already set the foundation by the time Elena entered into the equation, right? So it was a little bit easier, I would say, for us, right, to build.
Right.
But as time went on, there's so many things I'm gonna say, but I know, and Ella, you know, we've had some awkward moments that we had to work through, right? We've had some moments between our children that
Mhm.
we had to sit and have uncomfortable conversations and
Conversation.
work through. We had to do it, right?
Yeah.
And here we are. We made it out alive and we're fine. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, but Elena, now we're gonna talk about jealousy and insecurity and all of that. Okay, it's coming. But
Okay.
I wanted to start off with that because that's some of our story, right? In how we, you know, but like I said, I think my takeaway actually what I want you to take away from that, what I just told you, the foundation has to be set for it to be a smooth transition.
Mhm.
If you guys are at beef, at war with each other, and then you introduce some other woman,
That's just
it's
gonna.
not going to go down that smoothly. So that matters in the co-parenting equation. But I want to start with Shamara because she has an interesting story. And so I want her to go ahead and tell us your story, Shamara.
Okay, so for me, I entered into the relationship. Okay, the guy I'm with now, he was with someone.
Okay.
And so that right there had already set the tone for the first several years of
Mm.
us co-parenting and sharing with the kids.
So wait,
And
hold up. Let's be clear. So he was cheating with you.
yes,
Okay. Woo. Okay,
yes.
go ahead.
And so with that being said, I don't want to use the word angry. She was hurt.
Okay. Mhm.
And because of that hurt, a lot of it was projected towards me, him, and it kind of involved the kids,
Mhm.
right? And so it was just really, really sticky, really uncomfortable. And I wish she was here. She was supposed to be here with us today and end up dealing
Yeah.
with loss.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
lost a loved one, so she wasn't able to join us. I didn't
Oh,
share that with you, Hanifa, but she lost a loved one a
okay.
couple days ago.
Okay.
Because she was saying, yeah, let's do it, let's come on. Which, if we talking, then we have a better relationship. We're in a better place now. But I would say the first 4 years, 4 5 years was rough. It was horrible. And rightfully, she's hurt, she's angry. I don't want my kids around her. I don't want the kids going to her home. She would say things in front of the kids and then they'll bring it back to me. So it was a lot of tension, a lot of back and forth, and um exchange of words, and even almost to the point where we almost fought.
Mhm.
And um she was the one that said, what, this has to stop. Surprisingly, she was the one that said, we can't do this. We have these kids and they're watching us, they're only gonna grow, and she put a stop to it. And
Mhm.
so I don't know if you have any questions for me, if you want me to get any, if you want me to get
Oh,
in
I'm
depth.
coming. I'm coming, Mama. I'm coming because sorry, this is tea. This is tea. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So my question to you is this: while you guys was dealing with that, were you able to take a posture of humility and understanding, being that she was the injured party
Yes.
all the
Honestly,
time, or did you get to a point where like, girl, get over it?
so what ended up happening was, she so I have a child with him now, right?
Uh-huh.
But before I even got pregnant, she ended up pregnant, but not with him, by
Okay.
somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I was like, you know what? You have nothing else to say to me. Now is where I draw the line. You can no longer be upset because you're obviously dating or, out there. And that's not to take away from her hurt, because I think because of the hurt is why she even went out and started dating and ended up having another child. She was hurt, and so things kind of move fast there. And like I said, I wish she was here so she could tell her own story,
Yes.
but things moved fast there.
Okay.
But at that point is why I drew the line. Like, don't call me cussing and carrying on, because I was humble. I'm no longer going to be humble, because at this point you should be moving on, right? But I will say yes. Because I'm a woman, and they had their issues, and what I should have done was let them finish over there before I stepped into their element. I should have let it play out or do whatever it was supposed to do before I even entered there, because now with him, you leaving there to come here, you're not finished there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You have kids there. So now I'm in a place of, I wonder what he doing when he go over there. You know what I mean? Because it was never really, you didn't complete it. All you basically did was you moved on to somewhere else. What happened was, after she found out about me, ultimatums were given, and people couldn't meet it, and so therefore he ended up now moving in with me. So
okay.
Yeah. So right there is like, okay, now if she was upset, she's even more over the top now, because it's almost like you leaving me with our kids to move in with her. You know what I mean? And so that was that.
Okay.
But yes, I was humble, because like I said, I'm a woman, and when you doing things that are messing around and being a side piece, you're not expecting for the person to leave that situation to be with you. You don't expect. I didn't expect that, and so you're only thinking about the good time, and you're having fun, and you could go home to your woman. You go home, and so. And I want to be as transparent.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Actually, I have some follow-up questions. Elena, we coming to you, Mama. Our story ain't this spicy, so we're gonna give Shamara some time, okay?
Yeah.
But Mara, first of all, thank you. Thank you. Because you are not the only person in this position. I could promise you that. There's a lot of women out there who were the quote unquote side piece, and they got caught up like this, right? So and they also probably currently having friction with the woman who he was with, and they were helping him cheat on, right? And now both of them have children, and they're probably currently in this, and it's like, F her. I don't ever want to, I don't have nothing to say.
Correct.
But you said something really interesting. You said that you were humble, and it was like, yeah. And then it was like, oh, girl, you knocked up now. You shouldn't even still be mad. And that's the reason why I asked, because I know how women think. I know how we could be. Where it's like, girl,
that's it.
You have a whole new man. Okay, really? But the reality is this. That tells us something too, is that a lot of times we are moving on physically, but emotionally we're stunted oftentimes. So it's easy to say, looking from the surface, wow, girl, you good. Like, you got a whole new boo. You got baby and everything. It's easy to say that, right? And I find even sometimes, and I'm speaking for myself, Mara, I'm the type of person where I move on quickly.
Okay.
So I think that everybody else should too. And over the years, I had to learn that I don't have the right to put a timer on anybody's grieving process, or process of like healing, the healing process. I had to learn that. So even though I've moved on, in understanding that, no, I hurt this person, right? And even though it looked like they're moving on, you can move on physically, right? But if you haven't really processed and even sometimes reconciled that situation, that's not. And I know you learned that from even that experience. Like, yeah, even though it looked like she was good, that doesn't mean that I can't still be angry at you for your vileness. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Y'all know y'all was wrong for that.
Right. Yeah. Look, And look, and so that's why I never argue with her. For the
Okay.
most part, whenever she came at me, because a lot of times it was her coming at me, calling me, popping up to the house. Oh, she did that one time. I'm not gonna act like she did it all the time. She popped up to the house once. Um, I didn't really argue with her, because I know she was hurt, and rightfully, she had a right to be hurt. And like I said, you don't expect things. You don't think about who's getting hurt, who's involved. You're just having a good time just for that time, for that moment. And so you're not thinking about when stuff hit the fan, the kids.
Mhm.
She had kids from a previous relationship that were
Mhm.
involved, and they were at the time 18, 17, 18. So they're old enough to know what's going on. um they're
Wait.
old enough to know what's going on. They're aware of the situation, and so now they're looking at you, and they were young ladies, they were young women, and so they're looking at the situation. And I wasn't proud. So it's like I go into Walmart, and I'm always walking around looking around like, I wonder if she gonna be here. You walking with a, you shame. You ashamed because I was not proud of what I did.
Yeah.
I was ashamed when you're looking around, especially if she's with her older kids. Because they know you, they see you, and it's just like the scowl they're giving you, because that's their mom.
Yeah.
They're watching their mom hurt and cry over the situation, and so I wasn't nowhere proud of what happened or what I
Yeah.
did. That's why I was humbled, and
Humble.
and understanding. Because
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a woman first.
So
So
this
I
is
understood, and I always used to tell her, I'm not a bad person. I did a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You
and I
know?
was I was just about to say something along that lines too, because
Yeah.
I'm just Rico has a question for you, and I don't I because it's what you're speaking on, so I'm going to let you respond to this. He says, when you were seeing him and he was cheating on his lady, did his kids see and know about it, and if so, what was their ages?
So the oldest was 3. He was 3 years old, and so he would come over, but only to get his hair done. Okay, and so this person has always been a close person to the
Mm-hmm.
family.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a best friend to my brother.
Okay.
And so there was always that I like you
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe, like between us,
Yeah.
but something we could never act on because your brother gonna be like,
Right.
and so um that's what happened there. So the kids were always around even before we became intimate or
Okay.
involved. So the kids
So
were around, and
the families knew each other.
right,
Got
right,
you.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So that was that. But at the time, the oldest was 3, so he wasn't really aware of what was going on, and we weren't being affectionate in front of him. You know. But
Um,
yes, the kids would come around.
So we're not going in this direction. If you want to answer this, you can. If you don't, that's fine. Rico says any fear that as he cheated on the first, that he may one day betray you. That's going a little deeper than where we. That's not the direction we're heading in, but
No, I want to answer this question because I want to answer this one. For the first few years, yes,
okay.
but she dragged him. When I tell you she dragged him so bad because of this, I think he's learned from it.
Mm,
I think I'm not gonna say he will never do it, but I think because it was so tedious, it was just so much. He's learned from it. You know what I mean?
you say how it went on for how long? No, not you and him, but the whole dragging and the back and forth.
So my son is 2. Our son together is 2. I would say when I got pregnant with my son is when it kind of stopped. So about
Oh,
4 years it was about 4 years of
wow. Okay. Okay.
back
And I
and
know of so
forth.
many stories where that dynamic happens,
Hmm.
and the mother who has the children, this is before you have the before the other child is born, um it the fathers, I mean, I know fathers who was kept away from their children for like 4 5 years,
Yeah.
and it's only when things was sort of smoother, and it's only when she got a significant other that, so suddenly it's like, oh, come on, come on, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but here's the thing with that: you get to now open up your gates and continue with your life. That
Hmm.
person have missed 5 to 7 years of their child life that they can
Right.
never get back. They can
Right.
never get it back. And I think that's the thing that burns me with us. And this platform, I speak specifically to Black women. I just want to make that
Hmm.
clear. That's what burns me and bothers me with us, is that it's really a selfish thing, because children need their mothers and their fathers. Whether it's I would prefer it to be them in a relationship, coupled, married. But if it cannot be, they need to see them working together in a co-parenting dynamic in a healthy manner, right? And
Hmm.
it bothers me when I see a lot of our women, Black women specifically, get like that, where it's just like, you mad. And I'm glad you're here, Shamara, because I want, if it was just Elena and I was actually going to ask the question, do she think the dynamic is different if there was cheating involved? So that's where your story comes in, because the
Yeah.
answer is yes. Because there are a lot
Yeah.
of situations where the mother, the person that was cheated on, they allow their hurt to consume the entire situation. So I've had conversations to where I I am a person who believes in this. Other people says no. Um, there was a whole clip that circled around with B. Simone talking about Martin Luther King, right? And
Hmm.
that's where she was speaking from. I don't believe this. I believe that a man can be a bad husband and a good father. Just like I believe a woman can be a bad wife and a good mother, right? You might just suck at the coupling thing, okay? You just suck at it for whatever reason. But when it comes to your children, you will move heaven and earth. Okay. So when I hear woman, I want us as Black women to do a better job in that department. That not because he hurts you means that he loves his children any less. So you need to take your personal pain and go process that, right? And still allow that man to have access to his children. And a lot of times it's hard for us. We conflate the two. It's hard for us to kind of like separate them because we're in our feelings. So one of the things that B. Simone said was, "Oh, what do you mean? If you can't respect me, you're not a great dad." Like, what, sis? You sound
Hmm.
delusional. But Mara, you want to say something? Go ahead, and then I'm gonna move on to Elena.
No, no, I just wanted to piggyback on what you say, and I think that was a situation for them. It was more so of being a bad partner, right? But good dad, you know, because he'd do anything for his kids,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. So it was more of being a bad partner and being a good dad.
yeah.
That's
So,
so I agree with you.
so
Yeah.
before I move on to Elena, I want to shout out some new people that I saw. I saw Code of the Streets. She said foundation. I'm saying she, so I'm gonna say she he because I the foundation is key. I think, especially if the foundation is broken, building from there would be disastrous. So the foundation of that was infidelity. It would be poisonous to trust from there, which you spoke to already. That in the beginning, of course, that was there. For goodness
Mhm.
sake, you were in the mall watching over your shoulder, child. That was hilarious. I'm sorry. And then
Yeah,
we
you
have
you're
OG
looking.
Patrice. Thanks for passing through as usual. Lucky Marie is in the house. Lucky, thanks for supporting and passing through. We have Rico says, thanks for the honesty and transparency. This is for you, Shamara. It is healthy for you to ask and answer that question for yourself. So thank you. Appreciate that,
No
Rico.
problem.
Sir Hale passing through. Thank you for the love as usual, Sir Hale. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And let me see who else I saw come in. Okay, so that's everyone. I covered everyone. Daryl says B. Simone is trash for that. I know people jump and say she calls her. People call her trash. I don't know that I would go that far, and that maybe behind closed doors. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I will say that I do know when women get caught in their emotions, because when she was asked that question, she injected her own personal experiences into the response. That's really what happened. She was triggered by the idea of somebody being seen as an icon right? As somebody respected and knowing that there was a possibility of infidelity. She was triggered by that. You could tell that was her own personal experiences. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think that a lot of us, we do find it difficult to separate the two because we feel because he hurt us, right? That then you don't really love your children. And I think that that's foolishness. And we need to do a better job in that department. But I want to run to Elena. Elena.
Hi. Which, you sure you don't want to stay on Shamara for a little
No,
bit?
you don't come back. That Shamara got all the tea today, okay? But Elena, so you have anything to in response to what you heard so far before I ask my question?
I just actually I was gonna tell her that she's not her past mistakes, and just move forward from there. But you all already said it, so
Thank you, thank you. I had to forgive myself, and I think that was a part of my healing process and a part of the process of me and her getting along. I had to forgive myself because I felt. I mean, I cried about it. I cried because I felt bad. I felt bad, but yes, I had. It was a part of my healing process. Thank you. Thank you.
So now Elena is, for those of you guys that's just joining us, Elena is my son's second mother. We're not gonna use stepmom here because we're beyond that, to be honest. But she is my son's second mother. She's currently married to my ex, right, Elena?
Yes.
Last time I checked.
Still there.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So Elena, so when I first found out about you and who you were, right? So I was younger than my ex, and so are you. So when I found out, and then you're younger than me. And so when I found out, I was like, Lord have mercy. In my head, I didn't tell him this. I was like,
oh goodness.
I was like, for real?
Do that again, but this
time.
In
my head, I was like, okay. So anyway, so Elena, when you was first introduced into the situation between your husband and I, what were your thoughts? Like, were you nervous around meeting me? Like, what were your thoughts?
Okay, so I was nervous. First of all, just to put it out there, I am nervous now.
You're fine. You'll be fine.
So if I blab, just forgive me. But yes, I was very nervous because as
wait, Elena, wait, pause. Pause. I just saw somebody. Pause. Hi, 100 watts. I miss you so much. Thank you for passing through. I just wanted to make sure I shouted him out. I'm sorry. He hasn't been around in a long time, guys. But okay. All right. Bye, Elena. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. So yes, I was very nervous because as we're speaking about today, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if when I met you, you would have an attitude towards me, or how you would treat me, or if you would show disrespect. This was once your home, and here I am. So it's kind of I was a bit nervous, but I also. Do you want me to continue, or you want to ask your next question? Because
no, go ahead. You also, okay. I want to hear this.
So for myself, I also know that I had to have confidence in myself, and I had to know where I stood, and whatever the situation was, we are now together, and whatever had happened between you and I, if anything would have happened, then we would have to deal with it. So I just had to get my mind right before we met, and it turned out well. So
yeah. So so Rico has some questions for us, and Rico, I'm gonna get to your question because there was an incident where something happened, and I don't know if Elena remembers it. Do you remember that time you told me you hit Sam?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna talk about that. But, okay. So when I first met you, I mean, you're the same person, even as you're presenting here, very soft. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I want to make sure I say hi to my sister. Hey, my aunt. Thanks for passing through. I did skip you by mistake. I know I saw you in here. Thanks for passing through, sis. So Elena, when I first met you, the same meek where you are on here is the same way you were when I met you, right? I'm gonna be honest. When I entered into this tri-parenting, when you were introduced, and I was like, "Well, welcome to the team." Right? Welcome to the team. My first thing is I had to let it play out because I could only gauge it by my son. I don't live in the house with you guys. He does,
Right.
right? And we alternate. He's there 2 weeks, he's over here 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And my son will come and he'll talk about you. Sometimes he'll call me Elena. Okay, no, there was no hard feelings there. He's a child. I know. And so from watching him, I was just like, okay, he loves you. He loved you when you guys, especially when you first moved in and everything. He loved you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first inclination that this is good people, right? But I will tell you right now, when I entered into it, I entered into it with the intention of walking peacefully with you. Like that was intentional for me, right? Because I know how important it is for my child to see adults have healthy relationships. And I know you came into the marriage with your two children, girls actually, right? And
Totally
okay,
different.
yes, because you gotta remember, for 7 years or so, Sam was the only child. Like a good 5 years, he was the only child. And then this equation, because I didn't have Negasi yet, and so the dynamic changed over there rapidly, right? So no, you wouldn't have gotten the attitude from me, because when I knew that you were coming on board and becoming part of the team, I was like ready for the partnership. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't sure if you was, right? Because no, honestly, because I know oftentimes people come from, a lot of us don't have healthy examples of women working together. I'm just going to be honest, Mara, we come from the same place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you don't always have good references to say, I saw these two women work together.
Right.
We may have come from situations where we saw the women kind of like they knew about each other, but and whenever they see each other in public, it's like a little boat up. They might fight, they might yell at each other. So a lot of us don't come from environments where we see women, mothers who have children for the same father working together. My consciousness had already changed by the time Elena came into the equation. So when I was coming in, I came in deliberate with like, okay, intentions, right? And so it wasn't that difficult for me. Did you ever feel a time, because Rico have questions, okay? He says, Hanifa, you are in the hot seat. As mama number one, give us the truth. How did you address the issue of discipline? We could go into this, Elena. Punishments. Did you allow Elena any voice? Not a decision, but a voice. Elena, did I allow you any voice, mama?
So we actually never really spoke too much about it until that one day. Then we had the conversation. And of course, I was honest with her because I wanted to be straightforward with her and let her know, yes, I did hit him because he was acting up. I'm half Jamaican. I grew up in that household where I don't believe, oh, well, just sit down, go in the corner. It didn't work until I met Miss Hanifa. So, but the thing is, when we had that conversation, it was a mutual understanding. We respected one another's opinions. We did speak to one another about, I just mentioned what how I grew up, how I know things. And, I believe Hanifa has always respected whatever happens in our household and vice versa. If Hanifa says Samson is on punishment, Samson is on punishment. And we try to keep it on the other side as well to respect that. Because we don't want the friction, and we want to show Samson, hey, you can't get over on this parent, you can't get over on her, you can't get over on me. You're gonna come here, it's gonna be the same thing. So
Trying to keep it
It's
consistent.
that's important.
Yeah, and that could be very difficult, by the way, and we can get into that. But Rico, if you're still watching, so Elena told the sweet version. So when Elena told me she hit my child, right? We were standing outside of the house, okay? And I guess my disposition changed a little bit because Elena stepped back a little bit.
like, you what?
One second. I have a question, Hanifa.
Sure.
Before you even speak to what happened or what transpired, do you believe in physical discipline? Do you?
Okay. So I should have made that clear. No,
Okay.
I don't hit my children.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And that's important too. I'm glad you asked that. No, I don't hit my children. And then Elena, who comes from some like she believes something different. Now she enters into this space where she also has to parent this child as well, who parents are like, no, okay, particularly me, okay. And so when she told me, I told her, first of all, when you told me, so like, I'm gonna tell it from my angle now. When you told me, I had to take a deep breath, Mama. I had to take a deep breath. I did. So I stepped back and I said, huh. So very quickly in my mind, I knew that I had the ability to either escalate this situation or work through it, right? And I choose the latter in the moment. So I stepped back and I said, Elena, you can't hit my son if I don't hit my son. That's what I did. I said, you cannot hit my son if I don't hit my son. And the reason why I was able to maintain a certain posture is because she didn't have to tell me. So I know that she was telling me because, first of all, she probably didn't want it to come from Sam's mouth, because y'all know when children tell it, the story.
They ain't gonna tell us that.
The story is blinged out.
And it wasn't a whoop either. I slapped him on his hand for lying and for doing something he wasn't supposed to.
Hanifa.
No, but Elena knew if Sam came to me, it would have been, the story would have been embellished, blinged out,
bedazzled,
diamonds everywhere. I mean, just flashy. She knew that. So she didn't take that chance. So she came and told me. And I just told her, you can't hit my son if I don't hit him. One. But you know what I also did? I offered her tools and said, this is what works for me. So try this next time. Try this next time. Okay. And we have done that over the years, where she said to me, I have, done this, and this seemed to work with, like, we've done that. So in that moment, I was like, I could use this to be all dramatic and petty. You know what I'm saying? Probably throw myself on the floor and everything, child. But I choose not to do that. So go ahead, Elena. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to add to that, because me being on the other side, I also have to say, okay, I can't say, oh, what she mean? I have to raise him too. I have to understand and respect that this is his mother. And regardless of where I am in the relationship with his father, I need to understand that she comes first. And what she asks of me, I need to respect that. And like I said, she has just naturally respect my opinions and, the things that we do together, just the choices we make to either show him, to discipline him, or, so all of our choices we
So Rico asked a question, and Shamara could probably speak to this too. But he asked Hanifa and Elena, so how does the dad modulate the relationship with the kids between both of you? So let me tell y'all something right now, right? Let me just say this about men, okay? I want to make this very clear. Men don't have time for the nonsense. They just don't. And so they are not going to do all of the extra stuff that's necessary to make sure that this runs smoothly. They're looking at you like, y'all need to figure this out, because this is dumb. Okay? I already knew that. So this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because women need to know their power. Women need to know how important, how significant, how they show up in these dynamics are for the whole. Because men are not going to do this. They are not coming in. They are not playing referee. They are not sorting through all the details. Maybe you should have done this. It's really on the, and I hate to say it like that. When I say it's on the woman, I don't mean that men get off the hook. I mean that men are not wired that way. Men are not wired that way. You know what I'm saying? For goodness sake, if you get a man involved in the back and forth, he gonna shut down on all y'all. Okay, like that's true. Shamara, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I want to add to that. To this day, no, let me not say to this day. Recently, he has started to come around to the idea of me and his kid's mom talking, or even planning get-togethers amongst the kids. Before, he wouldn't entertain it. He don't want to get involved because, like I said, it was a lot of drama in the beginning, and so he don't even trust us to be genuine with each other. He thinks that it's just a facade, and we just faking it. And I would say it was like that in the beginning. Yes, I could honestly say it was just like, you're being cordial, for the sake of these kids have to see us. But now it's actually a genuine friendship. You know what I mean? Or in my opinion, it's more now of a genuine friendship. We have learned to grow with each other, and I think I was talking to you about this. Just trying to break generational curses, like you say, growing up and seeing women fighting amongst each other, growing up and seeing dads absent because women can't get along, and someone's too hurt to allow the dad to be a dad in the child's life. And so, like I said, she was the one who said, this is enough. We need to do this for the sake of these kids. She was the one. Like I said, I wish she was here. She was the one that said, this is enough. And so I as far as men not dealing with the drama, like you mentioned earlier, he's not. No.
No, but between Elena and I, do you know we will go to functions like her husband? Well, I say her husband, but like her husband's function, my ex's functions, right? And the people around will see us talking and laughing and getting along. Do you know he will get all the credit? Do you know they will ask? No, listen, they will ask questions like, "How did you get them to get? How did he get them?
How did he get us?"
It wasn't even anyway sight. Like, what are we
doing? So we have kids, right, that have birthdays close to each other. So his oldest birthday is like December 22nd, and my middle is December 28th. So last year we decided to do a party together for the kids. So she's there because this is her child, you know what I mean? And I mean, she's helping me make party bags and greet guests, and he is off. I mean, would not. You know what he did? He went to Ashley's Furniture because we wasn't a plaza.
He went shopping.
Furniture shopping, not just shopping, furniture shopping, because he was so uncomfortable. The jumping place was in the same plaza as an Ashley Furniture store. And he had done turn 2, so he had the 2-year-old because he's just all over the place. So that was his way of escape. And so he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just take him for a walk because he's too rowdy. We're not jumping."
He was uncomfortable.
He was uncomfortable, and then we trying to get him to warm up. And I understand his perspective because, like I say. One time he said to me, "Y'all have me like a tug-of-war darling." That's what he said. You have me like a tug-of-war darling. And so it was a lot of stress on him as well, us fighting. And that was another reason.
You can understand why, Momara, right? You can understand why. Because all those years you guys were at each other. And so now he's looking like, "Oh, so y'all like good now?"
Right.
He probably scared.
Look, he looking like, "Is this a setup?" Like I got
Yes.
nothing against me right now, you know. So I'm sure that that could easily
Yeah.
happen. I think with Elena, you could speak to this too. With us, you know, it's not that it's not that Amoti is not involved. He's there. He's a very present father.
Mm-hmm.
He's there. If I can't reach him, I call Elena. Elena, if there's something that went down and she think is funny, she'll send me a picture or a video of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we even talk about each other's children. Like outside of my son, they have a newborn, they have a toddler too. So
Mm-hmm.
we might talk about our toddlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That have
Right.
nothing to do with that dynamic per se.
Right.
But no, he didn't really have much to do. And I
Yeah.
and I wanted to speak to what you said, Shamara, because this is what I'm saying. Women have to understand how powerful their role is in this dynamic, because you said something about the sister that, and I wish she was here too. You
Mm-hmm.
said something about the sister and saying that everything started to come full circle. You know why? Because she was the injured party. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only way that you guys can reconcile, really.
Right.
She was the
Right.
injured party. So that's why I always say when I have these conversations, women have the power to change the trajectory of the culture as we know it. Do you get what I'm saying? So if the
Yeah.
culture is not like, if, like you said, we have a culture of women fighting each other, what is going to take women having these conversations, working together to change that narrative, right? Because she stepped up without knowing it and changed the narrative by trying to build a relationship with you. Even
Yeah.
though that wasn't our situation, Elena, I had already know that there would be no war in this
Right.
family. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? We were already at
From
peace
day one. Mm-hmm.
from day one. I had
Mm-hmm.
already entered that, but like I said, my ex and I, we already had a good co-parenting relationship. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when Elena came in, all she had to do was come in and kind of figure out where she fits in the equation. She really
Mm-hmm.
Right.
didn't have a lot of work to do.
Right.
Now the work comes in with, oh, this how you're a parent? Okay, that's gonna be an adjustment, but okay. Well, I mean, Elena, if you want to speak to that, you can go ahead.
So I actually wanted to touch a little bit on something else. Is that okay?
Yeah,
On
yeah, sure, go ahead.
so I saw that the dynamics between you and him,
Hmm.
also changed as he saw that the more comfortable I got with you, the dynamics between you two have changed. He was a little, I guess I want to say maybe tippy toy around the things he would say or how he would speak to you, how open he was with you.
Hmm.
Now I'm standing there in the kitchen, you call, and I'm like, hey, Hanifa.
Oh, wait, wait. Oh, I'm glad you bring that up because we're gonna talk about boundaries next. Okay,
Okay.
because Elena, I'm about to say something about that too, because I was about to pull him up the other day, like, sir, I know we good. Okay, I know this dynamic is good, but when I call you, you need to let me know if I'm on speaker. Thank you very much. Because I might come and say something that I don't want Elena to hear, even though I respect their marriage. I would never. But
Right,
I mean,
right,
like, I don't know, I might say something and that she might be like, what? Did she just say that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for me, it's like, let me know I'm on speaker, please. So let's
hmm
talk about boundaries and these dynamics. Since Elena took us there, we could segue into that. And Mara, we could start with you. Now with the co-parenting thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know yours is a little different because you guys, the children have the same father, but you don't necessarily like your child don't necessarily, well, yes, your child don't have to go to her. Her child would have to
No.
come to you.
To me. Right.
Right. So now, how do you guys navigate the boundaries? Like she might have certain things that she don't do with her child, and then the child comes to visit the dad. How do you guys and I know this the relationship between you two is kind of new. Have you guys
Yeah.
discussed that? Like, what does that look like?
Okay. So as far as boundaries, so when she finally decided it was okay for the kids to come around, because remember now, for a couple years they were only he was only allowed to visit them um at her home. And so like I say, she ended up having another baby and sending them over now to our home. And at first it was like, and don't you dare touch my baby girl's hair. because they have a daughter together.
Okay. Okay.
I couldn't touch the children hair. Well, not the daughter hair. I was not allowed to touch. Um, the boys, I could do their hair. She didn't care, but the girl, she didn't want me touching her hair. I wasn't allowed to take pictures and post pictures. Um, and she didn't want me disciplining physically. She didn't want me to no spanking or beating the children, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was also a boundary. Now that the dynamics has changed between us, I could comb the daughter hair. Right. I think that was just a part of just trying to be petty. I could now comb the daughter hair. Um
I'm
Discipline.
sorry, the graduation song is playing in my head right now. You don't graduate, girl. Go ahead.
And so now I could do that. Discipline, I always feel like, although I beat my kids, and when I say beat, I spank, I ain't killing you, I ain't going to pick a switch, you know. Although I do that to my children, I don't think it's okay for me to do it to somebody else. Even if you give me the okay, I don't feel comfortable. But what I do, I'll flick. So I like to flick the air, or I'll flick the lip, because I'll do that. I'll flick. But is we really don't have I don't want you doing this to my child, or you can't, we don't have that anymore. That was in the beginning. Now it's
Okay.
comfortable. Even to the point where she have kids with, like I said, with someone else. Outside relationship. They've came to my home, spend the night, spend the weekend. And because I've always grown up, and this, honey, funny, my father, my dad, my father have kids all over the place. And he have kids with women that had kids prior and after. And we would all, if I'm going to one house, I could bring a sibling that's not my father's child to her home, and vice versa. And so I was raised like that. And so, when we start to come together and kind of have an understanding, I was fine with her kids coming over. I was always fine, because like I said, I was the one in the wrong. You know what I mean? I was always fine if anybody wanted to come over, because I was raised like that. I was always fine. But again, she was the one, like you said, needed to, she was a hurt party. So she was the one that needed to say it was okay. You know what I mean? But boundaries, as far as them talking, he's the one wouldn't talk in front of me to her at first. Now we'll be laying in bed, she FaceTime, and all you hear is, "Hey Shamara," you know what I mean? We talk. He wouldn't really get into the conversation if me and her talking. If he hears us talking, he'll just, like I say, he's still uncomfortable, but he doesn't tiptoe. In regards to what Elena said, he doesn't tiptoe like he used to in the past. Yeah, he's more comfortable there, but he's not going to. He's gonna talk to her in front of me. He didn't do that at all before, but he's still not going to have a three-way conversation amongst us. We're still getting there. We're still trying to get there.
Okay. Yeah. So I still feel you're with
me and her, not so much, but him.
Okay, he is.
He is. No, we don't care if he's talking and I have on.
No. I'm saying you're building with this sister, right? With his ex.
Yeah.
New, right?
Yeah, like 2 years. About 2 years.
Okay,
yeah. Now I would trust her sending a plate of food. Before, that's the truth. Before, it was like, I don't know, right. But now, yes, from you. Yes, now, yes. Okay. Now we are eating your food.
Okay. What are your thoughts around like boundaries? Your experience with me, like around boundaries and so forth.
I think for the most part, you respect our boundaries. I don't have any issues with you, and I mean, like I said, when I really don't care when you speak to a moti. I actually commend that. I like that. I want you guys to be in a good place, because if you're not in a good place, it causes friction everywhere else. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm confident in myself, so I don't need, you know what I mean? I don't it doesn't bother me at all.
I
So
used to have I used to have boundary issues before you came into the equation, Elena. I did. I can own that. I literally thought that if I because I could be impulsive, right? So I thought that if a thought came to my mind and he needed to know it,
mhm,
right? That it could be 11 o'clock at night. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to text it. Okay. Now, because I know he's in relationship with you, he's married, not in relationship. He's married to you. You're his wife.
mhm,
And so I think twice because it might be some. So usually I just go and I make a note,
mhm,
and then maybe the next day I might follow up or I might give him a call or something. So I have to set boundaries there too because it's like, he's in a whole new dynamic now,
yeah,
right? And so there were boundaries around that. Boundaries around, if I play around with him in a
mhm,
certain way, boundaries around that.
mhm,
It has to be respectful.
mhm,
And we talk a lot of smack to each other because you're
yeah,
usually there. Okay, my ex and I talk a lot of smack to each other. Right. And so I had to set boundaries around that as well. Um, I think that's pretty much a wrong a pretty much it. If I need you if I can't get him,
mhm,
I call you.
right,
If it's something, and another thing that I do because I feel like he's a busy man.
mhm,
Okay. And sometimes men don't pay as much attention to details as we do. So if I know it's something that requires paying attention to details,
mhm,
I am going to tell him. And I'm going to also call Elena, just
yeah,
so you know. So I'm
The
also
safe
going to text.
measure.
Yeah,
Safe
yes,
measure,
yes.
yeah.
Because I
right,
know she's a
right,
woman and I know how we function in
mhm,
comparison to men. We just wired differently.
different,
You know what I mean? And so which I think is important even in co-parenting, is
mhm,
understanding the role of the man and that men
yeah,
don't show up the same way we do in parenting. They just don't.
right,
I think that's important as well because if you don't understand that men are just different in how they function around these things, you are going to start attacking him
right,
if you're with him. Well, why don't you do this? Why didn't you tell her this? Why didn't you say it this way? Or why didn't you know what? You want me to tell her? Like I've been there, because we want men to show up like us. So it's important to understand that in the co-parenting dynamic as well. But boundaries, I think we've been fine. I've always respected
mhm.
Elena.
I think
Go ahead, Elena.
I'm sorry.
No,
So
you're fine.
I think we had that easy. I think because our personalities
Yeah.
are very similar in some
Mhm.
ways. We know how to respect each other's
Yeah.
boundaries. There are certain things I know that when it's time to talk about Samson, I step back
Yeah.
because I know that you and his father have to have this conversation before I
Mhm.
can step in.
Mhm.
And it's about knowing the boundaries and respecting each other's space,
Mhm.
and I think we've done that pretty easy. I don't think we've had any issues with, and I guess for people who do have that issue, they may want to do, I don't know, find a way to peacefully come to the person and, or, well, first of all, speak to your husband, and you don't go straight to the person. You speak to your husband and try to get it done there, and maybe not have a direct conversation with that person, with the
Yeah.
other parent, but maybe have a sit down where everyone can come together and say, okay, I don't think it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have uncomfortable, conversations,
Mhm.
but it's a healthy, uncomfortable conversation. It's a
Yeah.
healthy alternative than to let it continue to build up and then you start arguing and then, so that's
I want to say this to those who are listening. I didn't need to trust Elena to work with Elena. I needed to trust my ex-husband to work with Elena. I needed to trust that whoever he brought in his life around his child were good people. That mattered. I trusted that because I know that he's a man of principle, and I also know that he cares about his son. And I know he ain't trying to bring any old raggedy thing, okay, up in his space and around his child. Because I knew that and I trusted in that, it made it easier because I was like, oh, he chose you. You must be good people.
Top tier, top tier.
No, honestly, like that like people ask that all and I'm like, no, it was because of him, because of who he is and how we already work together. And I know who he is. I already know if he chooses her and he's going towards marriage with her, she is good people. So it made it easier. So when I met her, I came into to that space like, okay, this is a good person. So now it's just for me to figure out how I'm going to bring her into this space and build with her. That's it. It wasn't inspection. It wasn't you know what I'm saying, how she dressed. Let me see what she wearing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, oh, she, you know, is she cuter than me? Which I think, Elena, I think you're gorgeous. Always have. You know, there was none of that involved, right? It was just more so like, okay, let me see. Let me get to know her so I can know how to build with her.
Right.
Because she's already in this space. But it had nothing to do with Elena. It had everything to do with my ex. Because if he chose her, I knew she was good. Right? And the funny thing is that he feels the same way on my end. Right? So my fiance, he's never questioned me about. The only thing he's asked is when y'all getting married. And we get married in July, y'all, just so y'all know. But
Congrats.
but he's never asked me about him. He's never grilled me. None of that. He knows the type of woman I am, and he knows how I feel about parenting, and he knows that I'm going to be very careful in who I expose his son to. He's very aware of that. So there was never a need for us to question each other about each other's significant other. That was never necessary. But we have the man of the one that's questioning us in the comment section. I'm going to bring him up front. But I want to make sure the next thing I want to talk about is this. So get ready, y'all, because I'm about to get real transparent, Elena. Hey, Rico. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful this Friday, Hanifa. Great panel, great conversation, great discussion. Nice to meet you, Shamara and Elena.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you, ladies, for sharing your stories. It's very good and very useful information. I'm like really loving it and digging. So I'm sorry if I came with a lot of questions, but your story needed a little bit fleshing out for us to really kind of understand a little bit. And y'all can understand that you guys had a little twist here and there. So
It's okay. Rico, I'm gonna let you question us just right after we talk about the insecurities piece.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So Shamara, I also want to speak to like if you had any insecurities and I know you shared some because you already you were coming in as I hate this word, but you were coming in as the side piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You were coming in as the side piece, and so you already probably was dealing with that. Like you said, you was looking over your shoulder and everything. So I'm going to share my insecurity. Elena, you can share yours if you had any. So let me tell you something. I had a moment, and I'm going to say this. This is a process. This co-parenting situation when other people are introduced, it's a process. It's an ongoing process. I had a moment, and Shamara, listen to this.
I'm listening.
I had a moment. I was already dating the person I'm with. Okay? But I had a moment in the kitchen. And we had a conversation with his dad around something. No, it was around the house. You guys were refinancing Elena. So I just want to make it clear. Elena currently resides in the house that I bought with my ex. But when we were going through that process, I was in the kitchen and I had a quick moment. It was very quick. It's very quick. I didn't dwell on it. But I had it. No, I had it. It was like, really, this heifer sitting up in my house. No, seriously, I want to tell you guys this. It had nothing to do with him. I don't desire my ex. I am very happy with who I'm with. It's none of that. But I don't know where that came from, but that feeling came over me. And I think it was just because I tell people this all the time. And Rico, you probably know this. Like, divorce, it's a grieving process. Right? And you could be fine while you're separated, and then they could come like 3 years, 4 years later, and then you find yourself experiencing those emotions all over again, even though you haven't been with that person for like 4 years. So, because it's just different markers. So we were at the point where we were now Rico and you guys that are listening, he was taking me off of the house. So he was don't laugh, Elena. He was taking me off the house, you know what I'm saying? And so he was refinancing. So we had to go through paperwork and stuff like that. And I just remember having a moment. I was like, this heifer.
I think
He put a sweat or a dime into this process. And she's sitting up in there. Do you know? I had that moment and I had to stop. And I said, girl, if you don't sit your ridiculous behind down because you left. You left, Hanifa. You left. You don't get to feel like you don't get to even complain about somebody else residing in the house that you bought with your ex. But I had the moment, and that's a real thing. And Elena, this is Elena's first time hearing this, y'all. So when we talk about insecurities, I had experienced that. Another thing I experienced as well is my son. My son loves Elena, y'all. Okay, he loves her, and he loves her mother, right? Which is his grandmother, right? So he loves her mother as well. We call her Mama. So he was talking to me about Elena with something, and he was like, right? Right? And I was like, no, I'm sorry. You know what it was about, Elena? It was about religion. Their foundation is Christian, which was mine as well when I was married to my ex. So the foundation, which I'm not anymore. And he came over and I felt like, let me tell you what I felt like. He was talking like how she was telling and teaching them and making them watch like Bible stories and stuff. I felt like she was having a greater impact on my son. I did. I felt that in that moment. And I was just like, okay, Hanifa. Okay. And I had to walk myself through that. That's another insecurity. And actually, my fiance was able to help me with that. By the way, Elena, you just hearing this, I know. He was able to help me with that because we are not Christians in my house. But in his father's house, their foundation is Christianity. And so there's that dynamic there. And so when he would come to me, I'd be like, did she tell my son another thing? I actually have planned to call his father and tell him, can she ease up? Can she ease up on the hell stories? Can she do that? Like I literally felt like that. But I had to process that, and I have a good man, right, that I was able to go to, and he helped me kind of walk me through that, like, no, look at it this way, and that helped tremendously. But that was one of my insecurities. So I'm gonna let Shamara and Elena tell this, and then Rico take it away. But Shamara, well, actually go to Elena, then Shamara.
Okay. So, Hanifa, first of all, you're human, and you do have a right to be human. And we all have those moments.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
No judgment here, girl. I get it. But yeah, so I think the only insecurity I had with you was in the beginning. Now I know I said that I had my confidence in myself, but the insecurity I had was, shoot, they was together for a long time, and what happened is she come back and just, what if she wants to come back? Will he go back? You know, where would that leave me? That type of stuff. So that was always in the back of my mind. In the beginning, that was in the back of my mind, and you know, I had to also be confident in myself. I did have conversations with him, you know, and once he told me where he was, then I was like, okay, you know, I could have a choice to either keep this going and let it build, or I can say, okay, I understand they were in a long relationship and there's going to be processes to get through this. And it wasn't like Hanifa was doing anything. She wasn't, you know, flirting with him, and he wasn't flirting with her. It wasn't like that. It's just to know that they once loved each other and they have a son together, and I'm in their house, you know? So it is not Hanifa. It's true though.
Yeah.
It's something that went through my mind, but I did talk myself through that, and I did get through that, especially seeing the person you are.
Yeah. And you know what, Elena, that makes sense too, because not only were we together for a while,
Mhm.
we also get along so well.
Well, yeah.
So I can see anybody coming in there like, okay, so y'all like done? Are y'all done? You know, like this over, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I can see that. But
Yeah.
Shamara, yeah. So yeah. So Shamara, tell me insecurities.
Um, I would say my insecurities came from me wondering if he would, like Elena said, go back.
Oh, okay.
Also, like, if the person cheat with you, they gonna or possibly can cheat on you,
That's what
right?
Rico
So
was
this
saying.
speaks to Rico, right? And so there was always like that inkling, like I wonder, you know what I mean? And like I said, she would be intentional and send messages. First of all, she didn't want the children around me, so he'd have to go there to visit your man here. You know what I mean? And also, I want to say this. He at one point was going between the two of us even after he left.
Okay.
He did that.
Okay.
He did that.
Got
And
you.
so she couldn't wait to send me a text message. You know what I mean? She couldn't wait. It was just like, yeah, oh yeah, yes, this is what's happening right now, sis. You want me to call so you can hear? So you know what I mean? I mean, this is how nasty it got, and
Yeah.
so for a while I struggled with those insecurities. And now I don't feel that way anymore. Like I say, I feel I think he had his own turning point with them.
Mhm.
I can't speak for him, but I know there was a turning point with them. And then that's when I knew. I was like, okay, it's done. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that was my insecurity. But you mentioned something earlier, and you would say sometimes Samson would say Elena in trying to speak to you, and
Yeah.
that goes to show that they see, or he sees Elena in that light, in that mommy light,
Mhm.
and so I want to speak on her insecurities a little bit. Again, I wish she would have been perfect to be here, but
Yeah.
I want to speak a little bit on her insecurities, because we kind of picked through this and spoke about this a little bit amongst ourselves before. And for her, she would experience that, like the kids would come home and say, Shamara, I mean mommy, and that would upset her, because then she knows that they see me in that mommy light.
Mhm.
And also feeling like I want to take over her kids. Like, it's like you already took the man, no,
Oh.
now you're trying to go with the kids too. And so that was something me and her kind of struggle with and had to talk about. But
Mhm.
those were my only insecurities, wondering if he would go back. And then he was going to the house, so y'all messing around. Like I say, a person cheat on you or cheat with you, they could cheat on you. So
Yeah.
that was my insecurities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Rico, you with us, or you talking to
Yeah,
me?
no. I was the boss just came in. Now, I
Oh.
just got a couple of questions to ask you.
Go ahead.
That's
Hi.
the boss.
Hi, boss.
Hi,
That's
boss.
Happy Friday.
right.
Happy
I
Friday.
gotta get her a
Friday.
shower and take her to dinner. Right. But this is a good conversation about co-parenting
Mhm.
that she was talking about among like her and her. She's the mother of a son and she's the new stepmother, and how they get along. And that's what we're talking about. And the question I wanted to ask,
Everybody in whole family.
Right.
One family.
no,
Yep.
so see, here's my question, right? Because I don't know if you guys saw in the chat, I said earlier,
Mhm.
that's a dynamic that's unique to women,
Yes.
because men rarely ever will you see like her daughter, father, like I've been with her since she was 10 and raised her. I don't think me and that man ever said 2 words to each other. And we just don't. And we don't fight, but we will not, a man will not co-parent with a man like you ladies can do.
Right.
I have a question for you, Rico. Why
Okay.
is that? Like, why wouldn't you guys speak?
But it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
just
they wire
me.
differently.
It's
Is it
not just
ego?
me.
Is it ego? Is
It's ego. is manhood. It's like I know her. She has a very great relationship with her father. They're very close. I never try to come between that. But my daughter has a different relationship with each of us. So she'll ask him certain things, and they'll ask me certain things. And I don't try to overstep that. I don't try to replace her father in any way. She wouldn't let me if I wanted to. But like they do what was her quinceañera? It was 15. That's a big thing, in Hispanic family. And she had us both do the father-daughter dance. And that was the one time I really tried to have a conversation with him. He wouldn't have it. I don't know if he's always afraid, like he's not going to take my place of my daughter. And I would never try to do that, but that's a fear that men can't overcome that you could, Hanifa. We usually are like, nope, absolutely not. So that's why I thought that was so funny, and I wanted to point that out, that dynamic is very big, and it's only women that you even see that even try. Men just don't. We just don't at all.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Rico, because that is a very good point. And and it goes back to what I was saying. I think it also just have to do with the men are different than us.
Yes.
That's it. Like at the end of the day, at the beginning and the end of the day, because like Elena came from do you mind me saying that? Okay, no. Elena came from a previous marriage, right? So she came into with children, and then an ex-husband, right?
Okay.
So the relationship I'm coming in. So here's the interesting thing. When the few times that my fiance and my ex-husband have met, it's very respectful. They shake hands, but that's about it. That is about it. There is no beef.
No.
They do not know each other.
No.
But there is no long talking. No. There is no like, tell me about the job. You know, there's no, you know what I'm saying? There's none of that. It's there's like, hey, brother, how you doing? Good. Okay, good. That's it.
I'll be in the car.
There's no sitting down having a cold one together.
That's right.
You're not having a cold one together. That's not going to happen.
When I saw Elena the last time, that I think my boo and my ex-husband, you guys were going out for Mother's Day. And we were dropping some. Elena came to the car. My ex-husband came to the car. He put his hand through the window. He shook my fiance's hand. What's up, brother? And he went about his business. Elena and I is chatting it up. Why before she get in the car? Like, women are just different, right? And so I agree with you. So thanks for actually adding the perspective, because that's a good point. And like, listen. If y'all are struggling with co-parenting, hit me up. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm passionate about this, right? And second of all, I'm telling y'all right now, stop expecting these men to show up like us. You're gonna get your feelings hurt every single time.
No. Yeah. See, you're even lucky, Hanifa, in the fact that you do have such a solid co-parent relationship with Sam's father, because that's usually not the case either. I could never co-parent with any of my exes. I mean,
why not?
Because both, my divorces ended up very contentious.
Okay.
So it was just like
that matters. Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot. So at that point, if I can't even co-parent with the mother, I'm certainly not going to co-parent with no other guy. That's just completely out of the way. I despise my exes. So at least the next spouse could feel secure, because I hated them and they hate me. It's like it ended very bitter. The best I was trying to do was say, look, I'll continue to support my kids financially. I'll be there with them. Other than that, you can fall off the damn cliff. I don't care.
Not the cliff, Rico.
It all depends on what it is. If there was infidelity, she cheated. You were broken. You were hurt.
Yeah.
I think what speaks to, and I just want to say this, when you say you spoke to that insecurity about the house, for me, when it hits, it's because it's a sense of failure.
Yes.
So again, I don't want the person, but it's still like, and the second time I got divorced, I was just like, I had all sorts of, because it was like failure. It's like, you can't do shit right.
But like Doctor Strange, Rico, you like Doctor Strange. He couldn't get it right in none of the universe, like none of them. Like everyone he went to, he did not get the girl. Okay, in the current universe, in the like everyone he was in, he did not get the girl. Okay, but
Yeah.
Rico, you made a good point because something my ex used to say, and I've never fixed my mouth to say this.
Mm-hmm.
So this must be a male thing.
Go ahead.
Looking at divorce as a failure.
Go ahead.
Looking at your divorce as a failure.
Yes.
Yeah, my ex used to say that all the time. And I was like, that might be a man thing because, I mean, Elena, you're divorced as well. You were divorced. I mean, I come out of it like, I came out like, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. But I don't think I've ever been like, that was a failure.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, but I've heard Amoti say it though. So yeah, I think and Rico is here saying it now. So I'm like, is that a man thing?
It must be.
Yeah, seeing it as a failure. So when he just said that, I was like, wow, it must be, men.
Yeah, it's a real sense of failure. I thought about that. And then one other thing I did want to say too was I do think, like you said, that probably made it I would be a little bit insecure if I see that you and your like my wife, she gets along with her ex, but nothing to the degree you and yours does. So that would be a problem. That would be a serious problem for me.
No,
I know I'm not built to. That would drive my insecurities insane. So I take my hat off to your fiance for him. He knows you, but still, knowing you or not, I would not like it.
I know, but you know what? I've always said this, and you're right. Now, I don't think he's never expressed. My fiance is not the jealous type per se, and even if he was, he's not very expressive about that. Like he's not gonna be in your face. What you doing? Where you going? Why you on the phone with him so long? You only got one child to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't deal with that in this house. We really don't.
So if the dynamic that you had about your son Sam with Elena, because I know sometimes in your mind you be like, is he gonna like her more than me?
Yeah.
That's just a motherly thing.
Yeah.
That's that same dynamic that I think you could possibly put forward on a relationship, because it's just like, well, just what is going on here? So I get it. Again, I keep going back to saying that the way that you ladies look at things and you're able to co-parent is just absolutely unbelievable. I know for men, it's far more difficult for us. So that's why when you spoke to earlier, I would never, I'll just say this to this one particular point. I have a daughter in Georgia. So when I would go and I'm here in Maryland. So whenever I would go get her, be from out of state for the summer, and her mother would give me this long list of do's and don'ts. I don't want this. I don't want, and it was a control thing.
Yeah, it is
a control thing. She would even tell me things about, well, I don't want your mama to do this. I'm like, man, are you fucking crazy? I'm gonna do whatever she wants with this child, just like your mother does. And she had been married, and I'm like, Amber's all the way down there with you. When she's with you, I just place complete trust in you to take care of my child. Mm-hmm. And whatever discipline, whatever needs to be done, it's left up to you. Mm-hmm. When you give her to me and we get on this plane, you give me a list you want. It's going in the trash at the airport. I'm just not even reading it. I'm not listening to it. And I'm like, you have to put the same trust in me. You just have to. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, if my mama or my sister don't do her hair, it won't get done. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do it. They would put rules on you that just didn't even make sense. So I in particular, when Shamara was talking about the hair thing, I'm like, well, who's supposed to do it? Who's supposed to do it if they don't? If I don't get
somebody? Right. When Shamara said that, I was like, what? But when she said it, I know I've heard that before that's from so many people. That's a thing. Yeah, that's a thing.
Her hair wouldn't already nappy in the first place.
Oh my God.
They was gonna make it worse.
Rico.
You know the term I'm using. Beautiful. My daughter's beautiful hair. But it was just the point was like, really? Come on. It wasn't even the hair.
It's control.
It's the control.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the control. So it would be like all this stuff. She don't like to eat it. She gonna eat what the hell is in my house. I'm not going out to buy this. This is crazy. It's control.
Yeah, it is control, Rico. I agree with that part too, where it's like, and my ex-husband had nipped that in the butt way before Elena came in, because while we were co-parenting, I used to have my thing with, well, you should do it this way and that way. And one time he told me in the most respectful, stern way, okay, what you're not gonna do is remote control parent in my house. Like, you cannot, right? And ever since that time, I kind of had to pull back. I had to reel myself, because I'm just like, will he hurt him? The answer is no. Do he have his best interest at heart? The answer is yes, right? Then why? What are you worried about? If they decide to eat pizza all weekend, that is none of your business.
That's it.
That is none of your business. If he decide that the entire week that his son is with him, they're eating out the entire week, that is none of your business. You keep yourself and your diet plan over there in your house. Let them people be great and let them live their life. Okay, because the reality is this, Rico, if you don't relinquish, and I say this to women, if we don't relinquish some of that control, we just keep drama going. Because you have to look and say, is this even worth fighting? Because and most of the time, the answer is no.
And let me ask you a question. He had none of those rules for you when Sam was with you, did he?
He did not. It's
not
us.
A single rule.
I'm saying it's Rico, it's us. Yeah. But I want to say this, and then I'm going to let Shamara jump in here. Bear in mind, when I got a divorce, so you know when you get a divorce and you go in court, and three of us on this panel have been divorced. You go in court, they ask you how you want to do the situation with the kids, whatever. Sometimes y'all get your lawyers involved. The lawyers just murky up the water even more. They make it even more messy because they're whispering in their clients' ears, and you shouldn't let him do this, or okay. When I got a divorce, we did none of that. We sat down, we came up with a plan, we wrote it out, we took it, and we got it notarized. Once we notarized it, once the divorce hearing came, we took it in with us. No judge, we had already agreed, no judge decides how we parent our child, how many times we see our child. No, we did not want the courts to determine that at all. So we wrote it up ourselves. In that thing, the house came up. I had owed that man some money. You best believe he put that joint in there. Okay, I had owed that man some money. He wrote that in there, okay, for me to pay him that back. Also, my family, all of my family's in Georgia. I'm the only one in Maryland, right? So my family, I had intentions of moving. Let me put it that way, right? That had to go in there in the paperwork. What does that look like if I was to move, right? So we came up with that situation. Sam will go with me. He will go with his dad in the summers and on the winter break. And then when Sam hits the 6th grade or turns 11, he will then go and live with his dad. And then I would have him for the summers. That was the agreement, because his dad was like, once he started becoming preteen, teenage boys need to be around their fathers. Okay. So we had already established that, like, we were those people. So when we went into court, we didn't have all of this back and forth. We gave the people them the paperwork. The judge looked at it and said, yeah, I did this. And we said, yes. And she said, wow, I'm thoroughly impressed. Yeah, I just made my job easier. And she moved on, and we had our divorce hearing, and we moved on. That was the end of that. And then we moved on to go and continue raising our son. So it can be done. I just think a lot of us just don't have the blueprint for it. We don't have a point of reference. We have not ever seen it done. And we quickly found out that we actually was the 1%. We actually found that out. At first we were like, what's the big deal? Why is so much people is like commending us? And then you start listening to people, you're like,
Hanifa,
go ahead, Samara.
I'm actually happy that you're speaking to this.
Okay, I just want to say I want to drop. It was nice talking to you, ladies.
Thank you. You have a good one. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, peace. Go ahead, Mara.
I'm so happy that you're speaking to this, because I can remember I met your ex years ago. You guys came to Georgia to visit.
Mhm.
And then a couple of years later, I'm like, wait, they having a divorce?
Mhm.
In my head, I thought it was nasty. I thought it was, I swear, because no one spoke about it, no one said anything. So it might, and this is because this is what you're used to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking it was a nasty, and
Mhm.
you guys probably don't talk or get along, and here it is speaking to you. You guys are good friends, you know what I mean? And so thank you for sharing that because I didn't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know.
No, we didn't get along well for like the first year of
Okay.
being separated. Like there was friction there. This is way before Elena. There was
Mhm.
some friction there. And I think it was still because it was up in the air. Like whether
Right.
I would come back or not. You get what I'm saying? It was kind of
Okay.
like that was still happening. So there was some friction there. And then I think he got to the point because men move on faster than we do. Okay, just a
Mm-hmm.
FYI. And I mean, when I say move on, let's be clear. I'm not talking about because women be doing their things. They be sexing. They be sexing.
Yeah, but
We
emotionally,
no, we be sexing. We be having like hookups or whatever. Men probably do have hookups too. But when I say move on, I mean like move on seriously. Where you're like, I'm with this person. Men tend to do that quicker than women, right?
right.
Stats are out there, and there's a whole lot of other stats out there. But anyway, we're not gonna get into that. But
Mm-hmm.
he moved on, and I'm just gonna say it like he the one filed for divorce. He was like, so you done? You're not coming back, right? And he was he was like, okay, then I'm gonna fill out the paperwork. And let me tell you something. That man called me and everything to tell me to expect the papers and everything. We want better terms at this point.
Constant. Right.
Yeah, we want better terms. He was like, so you just have to make sure you mail it back in because I am a procrastinator. So his thing was like, what you're not about to do is hold me up.
Right.
Okay, from living my best life. That's what you're not about to do. And so he let me know. He let me know that it was on its way, and I just need to sign it and then send it back or whatever or something like that. So that's how that worked out. But
Mhm.
it's only 1 year, Mara. We only had friction 1 year, and after that, it was over the years. It got better and better and better, and now
Okay.
Elena is in the equation. It's like crickets. Like I don't need to check in when my son is there unless he wants to call me or I miss him and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. When he's here, his dad calls and checks in, or Elena, if he's over there, Elena might send me a quick thing because maybe something funny happened or
Right.
something like that. But we're not really like in each other's face
Right.
like that, But go ahead, Mara, because I think you wanted to speak to what we was talking about, just insecurities and like.
Well, for the insecurities, I pretty much shared my insecurities. I was just worried that he would go back or still be back and forth because, like I say, I didn't let them finish their. I didn't let them complete the relationship. They
Mhm,
didn't. It was. They didn't. It wasn't. Maybe they weren't happy. Maybe it was rocky. But at the end of the day, I should have let them figure that out and
mhm,
then entertain the relationship. I didn't do that. So of course, if something is unfinished, you still dealing with feelings and emotions that's there, you know what I mean? Feelings,
mhm,
they're gonna be there even when they leave, even if when you officially leave someone, you still have feelings and emotions. They may just be for a short period of time, but those feelings are there. So imagine just abruptly saying you're finished in a relationship when you're not, you know what I mean? I didn't let them finish, and so that those were my insecurities.
mhm,
But as you know, I have kids before him, and
mhm.
so I co-parent there.
Okay.
That's a disaster.
Okay. Okay.
That is at the disaster, and I think, yeah, that one is, yeah,
Elena, I see you laughing. I'm
it's
coming to you next, Mama. Go
that's a
ahead.
disaster there. And I have spoken to you and the family about. I'm not gonna call his name. But I've spoken to you guys about how me and him interact when it comes to our son. It's horrible. It's
Yeah.
horrible, and I really don't even know what to say.
Mhm,
It's just
mhm,
horrible.
mhm.
You know,
So
it,
now you
it,
have
it's-
one situation where it's coming full circle. It's come full circle,
it has
and then
come full circle.
you still have that other one that's lingering. And I think that Elena can speak to that a bit, honestly.
Hmm.
So that's a good thing that you actually brought that part up because I think she can speak to that. And before once she speak to that, then I'll ask you guys a follow-up question about it. Go ahead,
Okay.
Elena.
Oh,
You're on
you're on
mute.
mute. You're
You're
on
on
mute.
mute.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay. So first thing I wanted to kind of just go back real quick. Sam does the same thing with me. He'll come like, "Mommy, I mean, Auntie Lena." So I wrote that down so I can remember. But anyway, my ex, my ex. It's much better now. I can tell you that. But it took. Whew, me and my husband have been together. I would say we started dating 2015, the end of 2015. So it's going on about 7 years. It's taken about 7 years for my ex to finally see my husband on the street to pick up our kids from the school and shake his hand. And I don't want to judge that because everybody has their own time. But Lord have mercy. It was it was so difficult to deal with because he gave me such a hard time. He would not let, oh my gosh, we're supposed to travel to Uganda at the end of the year. He would not let us go to Uganda. He claimed, oh, you're going to take my child away. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And things like, as though we were never married, like he didn't know me. And I'm like, do I look like that type of person to you? You really don't know who I am?
But even in speaking to you now, just the energy that I get from you, I don't even get, and I've only spoken to you almost 2 hours. I don't even get that from you. Come on.
But anywho, I don't know. It must have been just, it was partially control.
It's control, yeah.
Control. He didn't want to lose, And Anis, my daughter is she was very young at the time as well. She's only a year younger than Samson. So Anissa is just like seeing the other children and if Samson is saying daddy, she's a year younger than Samson and she's going to follow daddy. So she started calling him daddy too. And my ex, he did not like that. We've had arguments over all of that. So it wasn't as easy. There was a lot of friction. Again, he still has not stepped foot in our home to say hello. Hey, can we come and sit down and have a dinner? Let me see where my children sleep. Nothing.
I have a question, Elena. Is he welcomed?
He's welcome.
Is he welcome? Okay.
He's welcome. As long as he doesn't start mess. He's welcome. It took a long time. At first, he was not because I couldn't trust him to behave himself.
And this is through you, not through your husband.
This is
through
me.
You.
This
okay.
is through me. My husband stepped back and he let me handle this situation because it was not like our unique situation with Hanifa. Okay. This side was so easy. I tell you, I thank God for Hanifa every day. I'm telling you, I do, because it could have been so bad. Mm-hmm. So now when things started to get a little bit easier is when he got somebody on his side now. And thank God, Hanifa, I got to talk to you about this, but she's good. She reminds me a lot of you, as a matter of fact. So I was like, yes, you're on mute. But yes, I was like,
I'm super excited to hear that, by the way. That's good.
But we went to church together in Miami. So it's like, so I knew both of them for a while before, anything. But I'm telling you, when she came into the picture, things started to change. Mm-hmm. And then I got my insecurities about Anissa and how, because she's very hands-on, she wants to do. So she's the type of person, oh, let me go do this. Oh, let me go. I'm like, that's my daughter.
But that's you, Elena. That's you.
So I had to.
You're very hands-on, yeah.
But see, the thing is, if I'm very hands-on and she's being hands-on, where do we? Who gets to go?
Okay, I see that. Yeah,
in the pictures for graduation. Who gets to, So I was like, She jumped in front of me one day fixing her dress for the picture when there was graduation at the school. And I was like,
Because I just did it. I'm like, I just did it. Like,
but no, I had to step back also. I had to remember that she already knew me. So she probably felt comfortable to do
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's getting a lot better, I can say.
But do you see how that's a process from what I
Yes.
was saying, where it's an ongoing process
Yes.
that insecurities they show up sometimes. We call them like low triggers. Like anything can come up, and then you all of a sudden you start to feel a
Yep.
little insecure, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Because it's not
Yeah.
even that you want the person. It's not that you want the person
Right.
anymore.
Right.
So you know that that's not what you're dealing with. So
Right.
it's good to let, like, for me, it's good to sit with it and
Yeah.
figure out then where's that coming from. And oftentimes there's a fear there. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at it, it's like you can never be replaced.
Right.
Because your
Yeah.
bond with your child is established. That's
Right.
done.
Right.
That's done. And especially if you're not like a bad parent where you're neglecting your child or abusing them, like you're literally a good mom and you're involved and all of that, you're never going to be replaced.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But let me tell you what kids are showing us. Children are demonstrating for us the ability to love multiple people the same.
Same. Yeah.
But we're the ones that have issues with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
children do not.
Yeah.
Children are demonstrating to us how to find value, right, in everyone around them, even if they're not blood related, right? Where you can value that person in saying, okay, this person here, you know what he told me about my Sam just recently told me about my fiance. He asked, so is he going to be my father? And I was like, don't you have a father? And he was like,
Right.
oh, yeah. He's like, well, I don't see Mr. Genesis like a father. I see him like a parent figure. And I was like, well, that's good, you know, because that's exactly what he is. And then then it hit him, Elena. He had like a epiphany, a aha moment. He was like, oh, the Genesis is going to be what Elena is to me.
Yes.
I said, yes. He's 10 years old, you guys. And it's like it hit him. He was trying to figure it out. But Enya had asked a question about the children, and just to speak to that, children are way more resilient than we give them credit for. Right? Most of the fears that we have, we end up projecting them onto children. If you allow children to just be children, they are just fine.
Yep.
If they are in fact, oftentimes they lead the cause. Okay, because they're looking like, why can't y'all just get along? Why is it that difficult? Oftentimes, so children are way more adaptable and resilient than we give them credit for. Oftentimes, when you see children involved in stuff like this, it's because the adults have failed to do a job of getting along amongst themselves. And I always say this: children will choose a side, just to keep the peace. They will choose a side because they don't want to be in the back and forth. So they will choose a side if that means that, okay, I'm just going to stay on this side because, you know what I'm saying? Just to try and maintain the peace. So, and they should never be placed in that position. They should never be placed in that position where they have to choose a side because that goes against their nature. Because children are not like that. You look at these toddlers, 3, 4, 5, that's not how they are. They're not, oh, we're choosing this. They're not, thank you. So that's unfair, and it's against their nature to do so to them. But I have the last question for you. I have for you guys is what have you learned from this process that you apply to everyday life? Anyone can start.
Okay, I guess I'll go. So I wrote down a few things because you have to take this type of situation and you really have to think things through. You can't just be abrupt with your thoughts and with your actions. You have to think things through. With my everyday life, I would say, number one, kids above everything. They come first. They are the focus. They are the goals. They are everything surrounds them. So put the kids first. Put yourself aside, and take away your selfishness. Take away all of that. Put them first because they're learning from you. They're seeing everything that you do. They're seeing everything. You are the perfect example. How you live is what they will do. The next thing is have no expectations. You don't have expectations, you don't get hurt. You don't get you can't I cannot expect to go into a situation and have someone, oh, well, why doesn't she like me, or what, don't have expectations. Work towards the relationship that you want. um you have to, I said be mature already. You have to be mature. You have to be mature. You cannot go into a situation like this expecting to just be selfish and do what you want to do and think you're going to get your way out of it. No, there's three people in this, and you have to consider each person.
Mhm.
Um, be willing to work with all three people, not just you and your spouse or you and your significant other. You have to be willing to work with all three people, and be respectful. Sorry, honey, if I got a few more.
Mhm.
Be respectful. Oh, you unmute.
You're mute. You mute.
You're fine. Keep going because what happened is I just got a text, a question through text. So
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you guys, but please go on.
Okay. So
Mhm.
be respectful to each other's wishes. Be respectful to each other's uh, lifestyle. Be respectful. Just be respectful overall. Know that each person is different. They have a different mindset. They have a different religion. They have different lifestyles. Just understand. Try to understand that each person is different, and be respectful to each person's lifestyle. Um, be the example you want to be, because if you can't sit there and bark things that you want people to do, and you're not doing it yourself. you know um Time and patience, Lord, time and patience. Sometimes sometimes time and patience is all it takes. Shamara, in your situation, time and patience is what it took.
Yeah.
And the willingness to work with one another. You didn't
Mhm.
have to go along with what she said. You didn't have to, be a part of that, but you did. You chose to, So kudos to you.
Yeah, Mara could have been like, "Oh, now you want to be friends? Girl, move." You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think a lot of it more or less came because I knew I was wrong, and just kind of accepting that when you've wronged someone, you can't put a time stamp on their healing process,
yeah.
and so although I was like, really,
Mm-hmm.
I still had to I
Mm-hmm.
still had to accept that there was no putting no time on her healing process.
Yeah.
And I want to let you finish, Elena,
Okay.
what you were saying, and then I gonna kind of piggyback on the things that you mentioned, as far as how you apply this to your everyday life.
Okay. Well, I was pretty much done. I just had
Oh,
one last one.
okay.
And it's confidence in yourself and in your relationships. Knowing who you are, knowing
Mhm.
the person you're with, not having the problem with the other party. If there's an issue that's going on, you have to discuss it with your spouse. And then, like I said, if it doesn't work out to where everyone is understanding the situation, then you come together in that uncomfortable conversation and you talk it out
Mhm.
respectfully, without the yelling, without the name calling, without the raising voices, and just come together respectfully, sit down, get some food, and talk.
Mhm. Yeah.
Drinks, if you will.
Drinks, right?
Talk.
Mhm.
So I'm done. That's all.
Okay. Well, in regards to my learning process, and what I take from everything we just spoke about, um, main thing for me, in speaking to you guys and meeting with you guys today, in order to raise productive people, right? You have to come together, and show kids that we can work together. You know what I mean? I used to say, in life there's no gray area, it's just black or white. There are some gray areas. There are gray areas. There's gonna be times when you just don't know. You know what I mean? You have good days, you have bad days. You just have times that you're trying to figure it out as you go. So there are gray areas, but the thing about that is like you say, respecting each other and having boundaries will help, along the process. You have to know yourself, like you mentioned, Elena. You have to know that person. And again, like with boundaries, you know that this is something that person may not like you, Elena. Honey, if I don't spank, so okay, this is something I'm not going to do. I'm not permitted to do because something Hanifa doesn't like. And because once you respect that and you have that mutual understanding, then it lessens the friction and the back and forth between you guys. You know what I mean? And in the relationship, because you guys have a relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes away that friction in your relationship, so that way you guys are able to get along and you're able to raise these kids. And I say kids because, Elena, you have kids outside of Samson, and Hanifa, you have a child outside of Samson, and you guys gonna probably begin together, like you say, having conversations about your toddlers. You know what I mean? And there's gonna be some times where Elena might, Elena, I have this going on. You mind if Nagasi come, because that's where me and she says that's the name of the young lady. Me and her there, Anthony, her son, wants his hair done. You mind? And I tell him to pay you. No, you don't have to. You know what I mean? You don't have to, because we're doing this together. You have a village outside of my village, and my job as us, because now we call each other sister wife. Be like, that's my sister wife. They just come. Yeah, that's my sister wife. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And it's like it takes a village, especially with what's going on in today's society. All the things that surrounded us. It takes a village. If she was to say she need a place to stay, let me reverse. Because I ain't know about the place to stay. The kids could come. Let me reverse. Let me back that up.
You got real excited.
Yeah. Let me reverse. Kids are always welcome. Each and every last one of the kids that she has outside of him, they're welcome. We're gonna pull you up if need be. And I would hope you feel the same way about me. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I'm willing to help. Before we weren't there, we were not there. And so in just talking to you guys, there's a lot of things and mental notes that I took. A lot of mental notes that I took, and I think I can apply it to my life, in raising these kids. And that's even outside of me co-parenting with her. Like I said, I have my son. I don't know what it's gonna take, but I'm trying to get there. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get there. But that's basically it for me, Hanifa.
So okay, so do you guys have at least 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So Shamara, you had said something that I wanted to make sure that I responded to. Oh, you talked about how your other children, even you start to kind of involve them in the whole, even the children that were brought into the relationship. So Elena, no, I've already ratted on Elena's daughter before. I'm so serious. She has a teenager, and she's
okay.
Listen, without putting all her business out there. I was driving, minding my business, by the way. I was minding my business. And I was in the car with Sam, and I saw Elena's oldest daughter, who is not Sam's dad's daughter, right? She came into the marriage with her. I saw that little girl out there talking about she walking with some dude. Now, because I know how Elena is, and I know how my ex-husband is, and how they run their home, I have an idea.
Right.
I sure enough turn my car around. I pull up alongside the two. You swear, right? You swear Elena is my blood sister the way I went on, okay? I pull up along the side of them and I say, hello. I said, hello. Your mother know you out here? Hera, huh? To your mother. I said, hold up. Hello, sir. What's your name? Right? He was ready to. oh, I'm such and such. He even stepped up to me and shook my hand and everything, right? I say, okay, next. Your mother know you out there? Well, no, I was just coming from my friend. I said, okay. I said, you know what I said to her? You know I'm gonna tell your mother, right? you know that, right? She was like, I look at her and say, I said, girl, go home. I said, go home. She said, okay, Miss Hanifa. And you best believe I drove off watching them in my rear view mirror. Okay, to see if they were going bank that corner. That's how serious it is. Because listen to this. This is beyond. This is just beyond a co-parenting thing for me. Your children, Shamara, are my children.
Right.
Okay, they might not know me, right? And they might not know me as their cousin because we live far from each other.
Right.
Okay, but those are my children. Elena children are my children, right?
Yeah.
When Elena is not around, she ought to be able to trust that if I see her children doing something wrong, that I would say something to her. Now, I could have easily said, oh, look at her daughter out here being fast.
And calling people.
Calling people. And that's if I wanted to paint Elena in a certain way. I could have been like, look at her, she didn't even know her daughter out here. And take it and create a gossip out of it.
Right.
But I said, are you kidding me? This little girl know exactly who I am. Because I've taken her out with me before with Samson. And she know we have a relationship. All of us. She's aware of it.
Right.
So when I pulled up, you should have seen her eyes in her head. Okay. And she already have big, beautiful eyes. I think they were up here at this point. Somewhere up here. Okay. And I showed up was like, hello. Your mother know you out there. And before I called her, I called my ex-husband. And I told him, and he said, call Elena. He's like, because she shouldn't be outside. And I called Elena and I told Elena, and she said, okay, thank you. Elena just exhaled like, oh my God. like, oh my God, these teenagers.
And that
was it. That was the end of that. I left it there. But her daughter knows now, right? That my mother eyes
see me
as Hanifa eyes. Correct. Because Shamara and Elena, it has to be beyond us.
Yeah.
It has to be that when we talk about the children, it has to go beyond our own personal feelings and desires and hurts and pain. It has to go beyond that. Otherwise, we set another generation up and we leave them out there stranded with no blueprint and no point of reference. Because guess what? My mama couldn't get it right. Right? She always had drama with my father and always had drama with the women that were in my father's life. And so therefore, I guess this is what we do as women. We fight.
Right.
We don't get along. We fight. Right? And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that story just to show you guys that it's beyond just my son and Elena and I sharing my son. Elena has children she came into this marriage with, and that is my children too.
Yes.
That's it. That's how we have to approach these things. You know, so even when you break up, it's like, okay, we break up, but this legacy must continue in the sense of whatever we had planned for this child doesn't have to change.
Right.
Okay, you guys have planned for this child to go to college? Have a conversation about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How do we still continue that now that we're broken up? But I have a question for you guys. I got a text message. It says, what happens when he have hurt you and his child? Is it okay then to stop feeling like the role of a father is important? Shamara, I know you could probably speak to this is your current situation, Mama.
Yeah.
Is it okay then to stop feeling like the role of a father is important and just do it by yourself? And then let me see. It asks, how can we exist in a healthy environment and not have a relationship and the other? Okay, yes. Okay, so that's the question. Is it okay if that person has hurt? And I'm assuming the hurt to the child is the disappointment. You know, like how some real absent fathers make promises they don't follow through on, they don't show up. So they're talking about that hurt, I'm assuming. And then they ask, is it okay then to stop feeling like the role of a father is important and just do it by yourself? I have an answer for that. It's going to be a y'all might not like it, but I'm gonna let y'all go first.
For me personally, I think what changes the role of a father is when the father is not conducive to that child. Like, what are you telling a child?
Okay.
Are you um helping them to, to catapult through life? Are you giving them good advice? Are you trying to help them to become a man? You know what I mean? So if they speak into disappointment in the sense of, he might say he coming for the child but then don't show up,
Mhm.
I don't think you should dismiss him as a father. Then I think when he becomes dismissed is when he's not um doing anything positive or teaching this child anything positive, not um helping you with the child, whether it's financially. So in my experience, in my situation, this person, he's not conducive to my son.
Mhm.
I gonna say this. They have times when he's telling him things like, positive things. This is how you should do this, or this is how you should go about that. When this situation comes up, this is how you meet this, and this is how you negate through that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He has times when he does that, but there's more times of, your mother is a bitch, and I don't know if I was okay to,
You're fine.
talk like that on your
Mhm.
platform, Hanifa, but your mother is this, your mother is that, is more so driven towards me. Like, you shouldn't be talking to him about me. This is me and you, we don't have nothing. You shouldn't even be speaking to him about
Mhm.
me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And if you can't help this child through life and give him positive advice, help him, because I can't teach him how to become a man.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so if you're not doing that, then no, the role of a father is eliminated. You did that yourself, as a
Mhm.
matter of fact.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You're not teaching this child anything. Nothing positive is coming out of it. Now, there's the disappointment, the hurt that person speak of. We don't know if that hurt is, in my opinion, just saying I was coming to them, I didn't come, but the person supports the child financially.
Yeah.
The person supports the child as far as like being there emotionally, because boys need that emotional support too.
Mhm.
They need that emotional support from men,
Yeah.
Mhm.
not from mommy, from men.
Mhm.
They need that
Mhm.
too. If he is doing that, then don't eliminate him as a father.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But if he's not, then bye, goodbye.
Mhm.
Right.
You don't need to, because you're just stressing me out in the process of trying to raise this child.
Mhm.
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 And that's my take on it.
Whew.
Elena, you want to go?
So,
Thanks for that, Shamara, because that was a I know that you're currently there, so I was like, I would love to hear what you.
Hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Elena.
so with my ex, Hanifa, I don't know if I ever shared with you. It was a very abusive, verbally abusive, mentally abusive
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm.
He began to get physical,
Mhm.
which is why I left.
Okay.
Um, After leaving, he would tell my daughter things about me and tried to turn my older daughter against me,
Mhm.
tried to turn my mother against me, tried to turn everybody against me, including the children. And he
Mhm.
would tell them things about me that they have no business knowing.
Mhm.
Hmm.
They are children, they are innocent. They don't need to know about what happened between you and I. They don't need to know my faults. They don't need to know. So whew, that one was a difficult situation to deal with, and it almost ended up with us going back to court. But at some point I put my foot down and I
Hmm.
told him that he needs to stop, because if he don't stop, we're going to take it to the next level, to court at some point. And I'm a person who don't like problems. I don't like to give people a hard time. I'm an easygoing person for the most part, and I think he took that as a weakness,
Mhm.
and he tried to use that against me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, with me putting my foot down and saying, no, I'm not going to take this,
Mhm.
after a while, he started to realize, okay, well, maybe I need to stop.
Hmm.
Did I stop letting him see his daughter? No,
Hmm.
because she loves that man. That's daddy's little girl. She loves him from here to Timbuktu. I'm telling you, she loves him. And that would devastate her if I took him out of her life because of how he treated me. Now, was it hard for me? Oh, of course it was. Because Lord, I had to put it behind me every day. It was difficult. Uh, Knowing that when she goes over there, he is going to be telling her stuff, whispering things in her ear about her mom.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? I had to learn to positively counteract the things that he would say. So I would now talk to her and let her know, because she would say things, Daddy said you love Samson more than me. Daddy said you love Anna more than me. And I'm like, baby girl, no. All of you guys fit in my heart. There's 4 chambers. So I had to kind of make things and let her know, no, that is not true. Mommy loves you so much. I love each and every one of you equally. And I had to counteract everything. It was a fight. It was a battle. But everything I heard her come back to me with, I counteracted it with positivity.
I have a question for you, Elena. With that being said, did it change her behavior at home at all towards you, towards Sam's dad? Because that's a problem I am dealing with. And so, and even with that, I still don't stop him from talking to his father. And it's like, it taking so much out of me because the child he loves his father.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, I struggle with that because it's like, am I hurting you more if I remove him? You know what I mean? Because you love him, he loves him, but at the same time, it's like now I'm dealing with this or that because of the things that he's saying to him or telling him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my question for you. Did you deal with behavioral changes or anything of that nature?
Yes. So again, where he would go and he would get angry when my daughter would say, "Oh, Daddy said this," and he would get so upset. That's not your father. That's not your father. And you only have one father. But Mommy said that's my stepdaddy. You don't have a stepdaddy. You only have one. So he would get angry with her and show her what and tell her things. They don't love you. This and that, it did change the way she looked. Daddy said not to like Amoti. Daddy said not to hug him. So I had to learn again, time and patience. Lord, time and patience. It took time for me to, because that's also a growing process. We're human, okay? We gonna get upset.
Yes.
Things like that happen. All short of calling and cussing somebody out, you have to take a step back, just take a deep breath and say, okay, again, counter what he's telling your child. Because there's only so much you can do. You can't stop him from talking. You can't stop him from telling your child what he wants to tell them. But you have to show your child what you want him to know.
Right. Those are the gray areas that I spoke about. Those are the gray areas in life. Yeah.
Showing them can say a lot more than his words. So, and she now sees for herself, oh, Mommy does love me. I don't even have to tell her. There's no argument there. I don't have to convince her that Mommy loves her. So, yeah.
That's a good way to approach it, and we're gonna be ending out shortly. But so to answer the person's question, listen, this is going to be, y'all might not like what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Okay. Listen here, people. So it has to come down to a father figure is important in raising children. Period. Period. So if there's a father that and let me be clear, I did say earlier, we are the 1%. Majority of people cannot figure this out. Majority of people cannot figure this out. Okay. We are in the minority here, right? There are certain exceptions to where, whether it's a mother that's just chaotic and toxic, or it's a father who is just, dramatic and just always in his female energy. Okay? Whatever that I'm sorry to say it like that, I'm just saying it. Okay? Now, that you might have a difficult time turning that situation around. That person might have their own issues, because one of the things that I learned in life, we all have stuff. We all have stuff. I might not have this stuff Shamara have. Shamara might not have this stuff I have, but we still have stuff. And I think what happens to us oftentimes is we get real high and mighty and judgy of each other because your stuff ain't my stuff. So it's Shamara. I could say, "Oh, look, yeah, look at you sneaking around with people, with the people, with the say home, the people man, the people man. Look at you running around with the people that man." Okay, so now I could say it's good for you. You get what I'm saying? You have to do that, right? But here's the thing: that might not be mine, but I might have something else.
Right.
So what happens to us is that we pick out this quote unquote sins of people. And because those are not ours, it makes us feel superior to them. So I'm very careful with that. And that goes to even fathers or mothers, like I said, who might be good people, but something about that role, they just can't come through the way they need to. Okay? They can't show up in a healthy way. They can't, whatever that is. Okay? So here's what I say to the women who find themselves in those situations. You do the best that you can. That's all you can do. You are not responsible for another person's emotional state. You are not responsible for their healing process, right? And you cannot parent for them. You cannot be your child's father. And I know some of these mothers be on social media talking about happy Father's Day to me.
Right.
You can only wish. You cannot be a father to your child. And if you're a father and the mother is trash, you cannot be a mother to your child. So you have to determine, how important is it for my child to have a male figure in his life, and 2, for them to observe and witness Black love. Because that's important to me. How important is it for you, for your child to see that? Now, if that's important, next step, that's step 1. Step 2 for me would be this. And I said, and this is the part that's probably going to rub people the wrong way. I am not saying that you are to go out and scout a father for your child, a next father. But I am saying to you that if you have a child and a father figure is important, then you have to do a better job
in picking.
You cannot have a child and say, I want a father figure in my child's life, and still be out there running around with the dusties.
It's true.
You can't say that I want my son or my daughter to witness this, and you keep linking people that have no intentions of making you their wife. And that makes no sense. So because you can't fix them and you can only fix you. My question to you is, okay, that might be a situation that you probably can't build a relationship, and you're going to have to wait it out with much prayer and fasting. You're going to have to wait the situation. And it's true. Some things, Tamara, Elena, we cannot do anything about. We actually have to let nature do its thing. We have to let it play out. Honestly, what you have to do is make sure that you're a good person, right? So that when it comes full circle, you can embrace it instead of having an attitude like, oh, really? Now you want to come around, boy? If you don't get out my child face, you have to make sure you're working on yourself. So you might not be able to fix them. But my question is, what are you doing about you? Right? How are you doing better in that department? Right? Your child still have a chance of having a father figure. Right? Like Elena says, she's my son's second mother. Okay? My fiance, Sam, says that's another parent figure to him. Okay? You have to determine, is this important for me, for my children to see this? And if that is true, if it's important to you, then everything you do has to be in alignment with that. You can't say that's important and then you still, Shamara, you can't say that's important and then you still out there being somebody else's side piece. And
That's
this is
true.
me giving it straight here,
Yeah.
right? You can't then put yourself in a situation like that again and say, well, okay, I'm just gonna be a side piece because who knows? It might work out. You can't
Right.
gamble with your
Right.
children lives and your children's experiences in that way. So as women, because that's who we're talking to today,
Mm-hmm.
right? As women, and this is to the question, yes, that person you're dealing with, you might never have the relationship we're discussing here today. That is a possibility. Okay? But the role of a man in a child's life, how do you intend to meet that? What are you doing, right? Going forward, what have you learned from that experience? Were there red flags?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? That you saw beforehand and you ignore? You say, oh, us Caribbean people, you be like, oh, that's just the Trini flag.
That was a red flag.
Yeah,
That wasn't a Trini. That wasn't a Trini. That was a red flag.
I know. That was, yeah.
That wasn't a Trini flag. That was a red
That's the
flag.
Trinidadian flag. That ain't even that ain't alerting me. There's no, there's no danger. But yeah, you probably, if you ignored red flags, then you know going forward, I can't ignore them. If you linked with someone that never talked about a future with you, then you have to not do that anymore. You have a child now. You have to be that example. And then you also saying, I need that male energy in my space for my children. Then that's on you as well as a woman. So you don't have time to be lollygagging out there and playing around and playing house and all of this other stuff. You don't have time for that because that's not the outcome that you're looking for. You're trying to, if you want something different, you have to do something different. Okay, because you hear women out there talking about they want to be married, and then when you look at the men that they're linking,
like how you figure,
girl, if you want to be married, you can't be linking with guys that don't have no intentions of ever marrying anybody.
Period.
It
ain't even about you. They ain't trying to marry nobody.
Look, nobody.
It ain't even you. They don't want to marry nobody.
At all. And they look at all. And they told you that. They told you that when y'all first met.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They told you that when y'all first met. But again, that's not a red flag, that's a Trinidadian flag. Okay?
Right.
That's what happened. So that's my answer to that is that okay, you might get to a point where it's like, okay, this might you may have to accept that you might have to let this play out. Right? Like the dynamic between your child and that guy. Okay, that you're gonna have to let it come full circle at some point, and you're gonna have to have constant conversations with your children because sometimes children can blame themselves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they could feel like it's their fault. Like, why don't they love me? And you know what's the worst part? Where a child has that, and then the father goes and make other children. And then they're like in a relationship now with somebody and they have like a whole new family. And then this other child is like, then something must be wrong with me then because
Hanifa, I want to touch on that if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead, Elena. Sure, jump in at any time.
Did you finish? I didn't
No, go ahead.
So I know we're speaking about my ex because that's the conversation I've had. Yeah. But my first daughter, my 16-year-old, was from a previous relationship. I was 19 years old and I was engaged and we had a baby. Okay. This man is not in her life. He will call once a year to check on her, to say, hi, how you doing? Oh, I love you. Get her hyped. She thinks they're going to start this new friendship, new relationship. And I used to send her over to him as well because, I'm originally from Miami. And he stayed down that way. I came up this way. I used to send her to him to try and make the relationship work. But it got to a point where she was like, Mommy, Sam has his dad. Anissa has her dad. Why don't I have my dad? Does he not care about me? So now she started asking these questions. Hanifa, that was when she was about 12-ish.
Yeah.
And she started asking these questions, and I'm like, I don't know how to answer. So I did tell her, I said, your dad loves you. He has his own unique way of loving you. He may not know how to show it, but he does love you, or you would never hear from him. He does love you. He just doesn't know how to show you. He doesn't know how to incorporate you into the life that he wants to have. But he loves you. And from that moment, I never kept her away from him. Until a certain point, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, but I never kept her away from him. If I did not feel like she was not safe, I would not keep her away from him.
Yeah.
She did it herself. She kind of feels awkward going to him now.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to go to him anymore because it's like, well, you're just gonna drop me after I leave, and I'm not gonna hear from you again.
If you don't mind me asking, Elena, how old is she?
16.
She old enough.
Yeah, that's why I'm shaking my head.
She's for herself.
Yep.
She's learned, and that's where I'm hoping for me to eventually be, where my child will see.
They will on their own. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And guess what? If you are the person, then they're going to resent you, because now they're gonna say, "Oh, well, my mom kept me away from my dad."
Right.
Let them see for themselves.
Yeah, it comes. I agree. It comes full circle. It eventually does, because the children, they start to analyze the world the same way that we do, right? So when they're young, it's very black and white.
Yeah.
The children don't know nuance. They don't know gray area at a young age. It's either or. And then they get to a place where it's like, oh my gosh. First of all, I really believe that children get to a point where they be looking at us like, man, y'all are really messed up, man. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, I'm serious. I really believe that children be like looking at us like, oh my God, y'all can't do this together. Adulthood is the hoodest hood of all the hoods.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these adults can't seem to figure it out. So, but what Mara, when you asked it, I was like, yeah, when they hit teenage years and stuff, and these children know.
Yeah.
We eventually figure it out. You know what I mean? But it's hard, and we could talk about it like that, like in an abstract type of way. But when you're going through it, I can only assume how difficult that is. And Mara, I know you can speak to that, because if your child is in pain, you are in pain.
Yeah.
When your child cry, like you say, Elena, if you say somebody make the promises and they don't show up, you're there to pick up the pieces.
Right.
You're there to pick up the pieces. So that's a very difficult experience. And so I think what a lot of mothers, at least from what I've seen, what a lot of mothers attempt to do, and Elena, you were saying you didn't do this, but until like maybe at some point, a lot of mothers attempt to protect their children by just eliminating the person out of the equation, period. Because if you are no longer there, meaning like somebody might say, I'm going to go get full custody of my child. Somebody might decide that, because if you no longer have that access, then you can no longer disappoint my child. Yeah, sure. A lot of mothers I know do that, because it's like they feel like they need to protect the child because they keep getting let down. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I know that there's that. Now I want to say this too. Physical harm, though, because she talked about the child being hurt, it could be either or. But physical harm is a whole nother story.
Right.
That's where you have to get the courts involved.
Yes.
And you need to go and fight for your child, because there's abuse involved, right? And that's on both sides, because I'm just going to put this out there. I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. In our community, in the collective, I think when it comes to abuse, verbal, physical, most of it comes from us as women. I'm just being very honest. I'm talking about in the parenting, not whether it's deliberately or not. Sometimes we are just utilizing the tools that were given to us.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? It don't necessarily, it's not a thing of you hate your child. It's this is all I know to resort to when I feel like this. If I feel my child is not respecting me, this is what I do. When I feel like my child is interested in sex, I tell her she's hot in the pants. Look at you acting like a little whore, because that was told to me. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a lot of that happens in the Black collective. And oftentimes, I'm not talking about just sexual abuse. I'm talking about abuse in general.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's coming from the hands of the mothers because we are the nurturers. We are the ones that's we're hands on with our children. So
Mhm.
a lot of the verbal abuse, emotional manipulation sometimes it comes from us. And I'm
Mhm.
just being honest about that. But I do know mothers who try to protect their children from that constant letdown by
Yeah.
saying, I'm just going to get full custody of my child so they don't have to put up with this nonsense.
So
And
can I
yeah,
touch on
go ahead.
that? I'm sorry. So
No, you're fine.
the reason I didn't do that is because her family, his family, was very involved with
I
her.
know.
His
Yeah.
family loves her. She goes to Jamaica to
Mhm.
visit them, and I cannot take her away from them. So that's why I tried so hard, and I had to also let her see for herself. Did I
Elena, I
want
just want to see you talking the things.
her?
You're
Yeah,
talking
so
the
I'm gonna ask
things.
you guys that. Do you guys think so? Elena, you brought it. So do you guys think, oh my God, this part here is really important. Do y'all think that if the families were more involved, like on both sides, that a lot of these things would look different? Like, that like you get what I'm trying to say? Like if both sides, like his family and the woman's family, like if they were more hands-on and involved, like
Mhm.
how Elena is saying, like even though he's not there, her grandmother is there. Like, do you guys think that would make a difference?
I think it makes a difference. Because number one, I feel most of the times they're involved because they're trying to make up for where he lacked thereof.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. And so that's where their involvement comes in. And then the kids have a bond with them. And so now it's like, because the thing is, if you go and say, I want to be done with, I don't want you to see my child, have anything to do with my child, then they're going to have to also include your family too. Because at the end of the day, if I am eliminating you,
Mhm.
you and them you're one. So
One.
Yeah.
therefore, if I get rid of him, I get rid of all of you. All of you. Sorry for who can't understand.
I
I'm
like.
getting rid of all of you, right? And so it's hard to do that because then they're gonna still talk about the person to the child and probably sneak a phone call here and there. So if they're gonna do that anyway, then I can't eliminate that person
Right.
either way. You know what I mean? And then
Mm-hmm.
again, when that child is loves the father the way my son loves his dad, you feel like you hurting a child by taking them out their life, whether or not this child may not know that this person is not conducive to you. You know what I mean? They don't know that because then for them, like you said, it's just black and white. They don't see that gray.
Right.
And so, like Elena said, you have to let them see for themselves. At that point, they just gonna have to see for themselves. And so it's that this I don't know. It's one of the hardest things that I do. One of the hardest things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know.
so I'm gonna let you go. I don't had y'all longer than I expected to, but I'm gonna go ahead and start to close out and let you guys give some closing remarks. What do you think about the conversation that we just had? What would you what do you want to leave the people with going forward? Like, and what are you looking forward um to in your co-parenting relationship? If it's something that you're currently working on, speak on that. If it's something that you're like, I would like to see us do this better, or just some advice for someone that might be watching. But first, start out by saying what you got out of this conversation today, because I got a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's so much I took from this, and I really appreciate you inviting me here,
Mhm.
Hanifa. Um, because I feel like a lot of people need to hear different stories and perspectives, and
Mhm.
how you deal with your situation or how I deal with my
Mhm.
situation. As far as any advice for anybody, don't be nobody's side chick. Know your worth. I know, Nifa. It is exhausting. It is exhausting. Know your worth. You know what I mean? And that's why I say a lot of things I say. I don't like to say a mistake, because in everything you do, it teaches you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And you grow from it. So this was my learning experience, and like I have learned worth. Know your worth. I would never put myself in a position like that again,
Again.
ever, ever. I ain't doing it. No, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And that's my closing.
Wait. Let me put this up. So Mara's closing advice for you guys is do not be a side piece.
Please, yeah. You
No,
know your worth.
let me make sure I put
Miss, make sure you
never,
emphasize, honey, if I know your worth.
never. And then you say what? No,
Know
your
your
word. We need
worth.
to get this on record. Thank you very much. Let me see. Do not be a side piece. Let me put that up. Boom.
Oh,
Boom.
Yes, honey,
Boom.
but yes. Hard to say.
Let the record show
Right.
Shamara's advice to
Mhm.
the audience today. Do not be a side piece. Never.
Never.
And know your worth.
Yeah.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Because there's somebody right now doing exactly that, Shamara. Okay? Doing exactly.
Hmm.
I'm telling you they are. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it, Shamara. That's all you got? That was it?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for
Elena,
the
what about
invite.
you? Before we close up.
So, when Hanifa invited me on here, my reaction was, "Oh Lord, I'm not the type of person that likes attention on me, eyes on me, none of that." So, I did this because I thought it was very important for people to see. Not a lot of people, like Hanifa has been saying over and over, a lot of people have not had this example. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know the first step in getting across to the next person. They don't know how to communicate with the next person, how to not offend. And there are different situations. We were just, I will say, blessed enough
Hmm.
to not have that.
Mhm.
Um, but my closing, I guess, remark or statement would be to just take one day at a time. Try your best to be always the bigger person, be the change you want to be,
Hmm.
the change you want to see. Don't expect people to do anything. You be the expectation, you be the example. And a lot of the times when you're the example, it also brings other people to that point as well. Because if I'm irate, I'm angry, I'm cussing you all the time every time I see you, then you're gonna be the same way. You're gonna mirror my reaction towards you. So if you are calm, collected, and you are patient and you are kind to the person, you are going to more than likely receive the same treatment.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the number one thing. And I still tell the kids that treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mhm.
You can't expect me to have respect for you if you don't have respect for me, and vice versa.
Hmm.
So that's the only that I don't even that's too much to put up there.
Okay. Okay. So hold up. Elena. Elena. Okay. Elena said, treat people. I'm going to summarize it the
Golden
way
rule.
you want to,
Mhm.
okay, be treated. Period. That's it.
Yes.
That's it. Look, wait. She also said, be the blasted change. Okay, be the change. Be the, you want, be
Oh,
the change you want to see. Look at this. Look at this. Boom. Right there. Treat people the way you
Yes.
want to
wait,
be
you only put
treated.
one exclamation mark. I want two more.
Hold
No, I'm
on.
just
Hold on. Wait, hold up. Let me add two at the end. I got you, boo. I got you. I got you, mama.
oh
Boom.
gosh,
Right
yes.
there.
Yes.
Right there. No, honestly, but thanks for that, Elena and Shamara. My closing remarks is very simple. Shamara, you have already broken the link in some familial patterns. right? We say generational curses, whatever you want to call them. You've already snapped a link out of that, just so you know, right? Just by what you guys are doing. We have to be examples for our children. We have to show them that, because here's the reality, life doesn't always work out the way that we hope. So you might be in a relationship and you know what, she might be the love of your life, okay? And you might think that's your forever person. And sometimes it works out that way, right? Sometimes it does. And then sometimes it doesn't. What matters is what we do when it don't. When it don't work out,
Right.
what does that look like?
Right.
And the only way for children to learn how to resolve conflict, how to work through stuff, how to work through pain and hurt is from us. They're watching us. So, and let me just say this: they are mimicking most of what we do, and probably 1% of what we say.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So you can do all the talking you want to your child. They're hearing you, they're nodding, but they're still going to do what they see you do.
Right.
At the end of the day. So we have a responsibility. I'm very passionate when it comes to children, when it comes to parenting. This is why co-parenting is a big deal for me. I don't play when it comes to children. And the reason why we can't talk about the future and still continue to do the same ish over and over and over. We can't want to bring about change in the future and still do the same things over and over and over. In order to change the future, we got to do something different now.
Right.
And that means if you want your children to go into the future with a different mindset than you came into your now with, you have to parent them towards that. So fighting with somebody who's an ex, and then fighting with the boo of the ex, okay, you are not doing that. So for me, I said this is what I said to people: the time apart, especially if you're co-parenting and your children are going between families, the time that you're not with your child, use it to better yourself. Use it to heal. Use it to face the pain that you've experienced from that relationship, right? So that you don't damage your child any further. Because I need you guys to know your split has already done some damage.
Right.
Your split from that person has already done some damage to the child. Trust me on that. Trust me. Samson was still trying to figure out a way. Me and Elena was getting along so good. I don't even know if I ever told her this. Samson was saying, "Why can't we all just live together then?"
Oh, jeez.
That's how good we was doing this thing, Elena. We have to be damn proud of ourselves. You hear me?
Right.
Our son was like, why y'all? This is when I was single, y'all. This is when I didn't have a man. I just want to put that out there, okay? I wasn't booed up. So for him, it made sense. All y'all get along. Why can't we just all live together? For me, I took it as this. We're doing good.
Good, yeah.
We are doing good. And for him to even ask that, because Shamara, Elena, y'all know, if we were beefing, there's no way that will come out my child's mouth.
No. And I experiencing the same thing with the kids. Because before, I never had them say, one time they tell me, let's go to Home Depot, we're going to buy some bricks. I said, we're buying bricks for to build us a house so we could all live there. Then they went on to say, we could leave daddy here in this house and you and our mother could live in that house. And that's to show, that they see that he's more distant. You know what I mean? This time where he could stay here. Plus, he's a little bit of a grouch.
Yeah.
They put the man in a different house.
Yeah. No, but honestly, that if in my closing, I would just simply say, like, we whatever we desire, we can have. Everything starts with a desire, right? And so if you desire to have peace, you can have it. If you desire to co-parent peacefully, you can have that. Now, it requires another person to be on board. It takes two to tango in this situation. I want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
Right? But you don't have to get sucked into their nasty energy either.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say? You don't.
I'm leaving here with that, Hanifa. I'm leaving here with that. I'm leaving here with that.
Yeah, you don't have to get sucked in, because that's where the self-work comes in. You don't have to be sucked into their energy, because you can still demonstrate to your children how you navigate drama and conflict and how to resolve it. And if you can't resolve it with the person, how to resolve it within yourself.
Right.
You're still able to demonstrate that. So it's always about the fact that the children are watching. It has to come back to that every single time. We have a responsibility. I mean, we can't get around it. Like, there's no, once we bring them into this world, when we allow ourselves to be a portal for their entry into this realm, we just have a responsibility. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
that's it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I want, Shamara, sometimes I want to be buck wild. Okay, I can't do that.
You want to be in the streets.
I want to be in the streets, but I can't do that. I have a responsibility. I have sons. I can't do that. And if I want my sons to choose good, then I have to be good to them.
Good. Yeah.
Because most of the time, if you're a parent that yells and curse and throw things out, your children are probably going to be coupled with a woman like that. And then here you are, your old behind, have the nerve to criticize her. I don't know why he don't leave her. She's so toxic. Well, he's with her because you were toxic. So those are things that we have to consider. And the co-parenting, I know, again, we're the minority, but I really believe that we can make it. We can increase the numbers of that. Yeah. Because Shamara just gave hope. She came on here like, listen.
Yeah. I have to give you the story.
I was a side piece.
Yeah. So you can understand that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I had to give the backstory so you can understand where far we coming from,
Yeah. And Shamara is here to sit up because, and not only that, dealing with that too, being the person who may have broke up their relationship, maybe not, or their relationship was on the verge of it, and you didn't wait it out, you just stepped in. That you can carry a lot of guilt for that. So even though you're now with the person, you're still carrying that guilt. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And the reality, and so Shamara telling her story lets you know, with time, like Elena said, with time. And Shamara saying, I had to humble myself because I knew that I had wronged her. And I had to allow her space to do that. And so when she was ready, Shamara still had a choice to make. She could have kept it going and saying, hell no. You don't call me all kind of names. It ain't happening, says bye. But no, she went in and said, okay, good. She's in a different space. Let's do this. I think Shamara is frozen. But in my closing, I just want to thank you guys for coming. Shamara, can you hear us? Because you frozen, sweetie. It's a good frozen, but you frozen. Your mouth isn't open or anything. But you're frozen. But I just wanted to tell you guys, thanks for coming. You guys didn't have to come here. Shamara, you didn't have to tell your story. Shamara, I'm probably going to bring you back because another topic came up that I probably want to have a conversation with you around. Elena, as usual, thank you. Shamara, if you're listening, you can come back up, sweetie. Thank you for coming through, Elena. I wasn't sure when I told Shamara I was going to ask you. I was like, this is not her thing. She's probably going to be like, what? No. Why did you even ask me that?
Like, Hanifa, really?
I know. But then when you said yes in the text, I was like, yes. Because I think it's an important conversation to do in public so that people can see this. Our children might access YouTube. YouTube is some stuff. Being able to see us have this conversation like grown, mature women.
It's also about supporting you too,
Oh, thank you. And I just want to say this. I'm going to go ahead and toot my horn a little bit here. When you could bring the current wife on, it says a lot about you.
Yes, it does.
It does. And I had to think about that. I was just like, you know what? I'm good people. The fact that I could even do this. I'm good people. So I had to toot my little horn. Just toot my little horn there, and those of you guys who are my YouTube family in this space, this is some of my real life that you guys just witnessed. And so when I come in here and I talk about stuff, I'm like this all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm like this all the time. I was at Elena's shower acting like I'm a cousin. I didn't even care. I didn't
And
care.
everybody
I didn't care. And I got all the looks and everything. Like, oh, she really here? Yes, the hell I am.
is.
Yes, the hell I am. So yeah, Elena, thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Thank you for being a second mother to Sam. Um, and helping us raise him. The more the merrier. All hands on deck. Like give me all the hands.
Yes.
And thank you for I don't even know how to put it like this. I hope this isn't inappropriate to say, but thank you for loving his father.
Oh.
No, honestly, because he deserves another chance as well. He deserves another chance at this as well. So thank you for that. I appreciate that so much because I know the importance of a woman in a man's life and what we bring. You know what I mean? Because you said earlier with your ex, that woman being introduced, it the difference, right? It matters. It matters the type of woman that enters the equation. And so I just want to thank you for your beautiful spirit
Thank you.
that you've always shown. Shamara is coming in. Um, and I know I'm giving you your flowers now, girl, because tomorrow is not promised.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that I don't know if that sounds weird to say, but thank you for loving my ex. Thank you for loving Sam's father. And thank you for allowing him another chance, another go at this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you for that and being who you are in his life and in my son's life and making it a smooth transition for all of us. Thank you for not bringing drama in my life, Elena. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
So that's it again.
I said thank you too, because all of that goes to you as well. You have a beautiful personality, and every time we have conversations, it just goes so easy. There's nothing there. It's like we knew each other for a long time. So it's like I am extremely happy that and grateful that you were the other one. You were. It could have been somebody else.
I know. I agree.
It could have been somebody else.
Yeah.
I am very happy. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
And it all of it. It shows in everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything you show Samson, everything you talk to Samson about. Samson, when he asked you to make my little earrings, and you actually did it. But you don't have to do the things you do. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate you being who you are.
Thank you. And Shamara, you left, but I was saying that I'm probably going to bring you back because you brought up some stuff that I think is a whole other conversation to have. So we'll talk about that behind the scenes. But Shamara, keep pushing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Also, thank you.
Yeah, you busting up some generational stuff, sweetie. You're already on that path, and so keep pushing and keep doing. And I wish the sister was here, but I
could bring her. She when I tell you, intelligent, a good conversation. I know you're gonna enjoy her. Hey, I'm gonna.
I'm gonna try to bring her then. I'm gonna try to bring her back because I want to definitely do more of this and have these conversations. But I just wanted to tell you that I love you and I appreciate you for coming on my platform. Shamara, you didn't have to. And thank you for your transparency because we needed that. That was all the tea. That was all the tea today.
No problem. I came prepared. How would I like her to tell her side?
Yeah, I could actually bring you guys back. That's not a problem. We could change the title and do another segment of it. But I want to say to those of you guys that stuck with us, again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscription button. If you feel like someone could benefit from this, please make sure that you guys share it. And if you guys just want to talk about, you might be in a co-parenting situation, you guys reach out to me. I've been doing this for quite some time now. And I'm very passionate about it because I really believe that it's possible. And I really believe that women control a lot of how it kind of manifests, to be honest. So anyway, so again, thanks for sticking with me, and thank you, ladies, one more time. And I'm gonna let you guys go. And until next time, guys, I'm gonna say peace.
Okay,
Guys.
see you. All right,
Bye.
nice to meet you, Elena.
Nice to meet you too, Shema.